Yang gang, what's good, everybody? Hopefully, everybody has been staying safe and warm and everything else. It is us, McCoy, another in the council of the one and only Andrew Yang. We in this bad boy, gonna do what we do best, sit around and talk. And tonight we are going to be talking about a topic that it actually coincidentally is very timely. Very timely. I mean, think about it. Valentine's Day was on Sunday, which was weird, but
why was it weird?
Because
that's how the days go sometimes. You can't.
I don't know. It just feels off.
I feel you at the same time too, because it's usually in the middle of the week, like a Tuesday or a Thursday.
Wednesday is a very Valentine's Day-esque day for whatever reason. Between Tuesday and Thursday, I just expect Valentine's Day to be maybe Friday.
Right.
Yeah, agreed. And so when we have a Valentine's Day on a Sunday, it's it feels off. To me it feels off because I'm used to having it either again middle of the day, middle of the week. Or that Thursday or Friday. I mean, heck, even a Saturday. But a Sunday, I'm man.
That's when you have to keep room for Jesus.
Yeah, that was the thing I was going to say, too, is that I was used to Valentine's Day. I've seen Valentine's Day on a Sunday because I remember churches would always make they would make the point that this is the true love. And you kind of sideline whatever other kind of stuff is going on. keep it holy, keep it pure. So some people will take advantage of it and be like, look, this is the best love. But especially in the black churches.
For sure. Yeah.
Listen. I mean, there's been some times, there's been some days where actually, what was Easter?
A Sunday?
Like last year, it was weird, super weird. It didn't feel like it was Easter.
Well, yeah,
but I think because of COVID. That's why I didn't feel like Easter.
Yeah, it was a month into COVID at that point. It's late April or so.
Yeah,
mid-late. Yeah,
mid-late April. I'm nah, this don't feel like whatever. Anyways, we're getting off the subject. Moving back. So tonight's topic for tonight is Black love. And then like I said, we didn't plan it for it to be like this, but because of how Valentine's Day and everybody's typically all lovey-dovey during this time, we felt it right to kind of, have it now and talk about Black love now. On top of the fact that, yes, we're still in Black History Month, so we still want to give honor is due. But at the same time, when we're thinking about Black love, we're also looking at how the media portrays what Black love looks like. And I know some people talk about struggle love, and so we're going to talk about that too tonight. And just pretty much just have a conversation around Black love, what it looks like. How do some people perceive it, and just go from there. And again, like I said, let's have a conversation about it. So Black love, and especially in the media. When you think about Black love in the media, what comes to mind in your guys' opinions?
Tay Diggs.
Okay.
That was just the first thing that comes to mind because he's in a lot of Black love movies. He's in Best Man Holiday, Brown Sugar, Hastella Got Her Groove Back. I can't think of it, but yeah, I just think of Tay Diggs off the spot. Maybe because he was my first celebrity crush.
Hey, there you go.
And I would still, date him to this day because he still looks fine.
There you go. Hey, black don't crack. Chloe, what about you?
Sometimes you think of music like R&B, could be very central actually. Movies represented in that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's like I didn't even think of that. That's true.
Again, I'm like very like
Ooh.
obviously love is romantic in general, but I really think like there's like some kind of ultra sexy guy with like the lights are kind of dimmed or like it's black and white, and I don't know, like you watch the music video for some of these things. Let me see if I can find actually.
Yeah,
What?
that man right there.
Yeah, ultra sexy guy right here.
Oh, I'm
With the lights dim and everything.
yikes. And I wasn't making a reference to that. I'm weak.
Tell me what you want.
Come on, Drew. Come on. Tell me.
I guess I could just see him like that. Tell me what you
enough for you, babe. Come on, yes, yes.
The song, I don't remember if I made mention to it. I think I made mention maybe afterwards, maybe not live, but it was. I found it later, and I never remember the name of the song, but it has like that do 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 do.
Oh, I know what it
do.
is. Hold on. If
And I just
I ever love again.
It's like Casey and JoJo, right?
They did a remake of it. It was another two before that. I think it was like Truth. It was like Truth. Who did the original?
I never remember the name of it, but like I think of those kind of vibes, and someone's just like professing this love. They're just like, I don't know, like I guess my confession is I hadn't watched a ton of Black Love movies, but I've seen like some here and there. Like I remember Think Like a Man for sure.
I don't even think I've seen that. I guess because it was like based off of a Steve Harvey book, and I was just like, not to say like I'm just biased against Steve Harvey, but I was just like, how misogynistic and sexist is this gonna get? I don't know. I never saw it. Maybe it was fine. Had a great cast though, so I feel bad for not seeing it.
Man, no, because I seen it. I seen part 1 and part two of it, and it kind of made you think a little bit, and it kind of made, I know for men who watched it, it kind of made them kind of like reevaluate like what love really looks like and how to actually treat a woman like the way how she's supposed to be treated. And basically it was almost like a wake-up call to Black folks everywhere. Like, hey, we can't be sitting up here talking about Black pride and Black love, and the only thing we're doing is tearing each other down. If we really want to be supportive, and if we really want to come together as a community, we got to do better than what we're doing. We got to be better than the stereotypical mind frame. Some dude, walking around with his pants hanging down his butt cheeks, and you see all of his SpongeBob underwear and whatnot, and like some girl hanging on his arm, and she's no good either. Like, no, we got to do better. We got to do better. We got to come better. But also at the same time, that even if the guy might be sagging, you don't know what his background is. You don't know what he's doing, and you really can't assume based off of what you see and think, oh, he's no good or she's no good. Like, no, you got to do a little bit of digging and do a little bit of research. And I know for me, when I think about that, I think about Love and Basketball, which I saw again recently. Not by choice, but it was just on, and so watched it again, and it brought back into focus of how Black love in a way was presented back then, and where's it at now? And I say that because back then it was like, yeah, it was cute, it was innocent, it was that typical boy chase girl play hard to get, and at the end they grew up and fell in love, and circumstances caused them to fall out of love, And when they got older, a little bit more wiser, saw the world, they came back again. They tried to give it another shot. I was like, okay, cool. You know, shout out to Sanaa Lathan and
Omar Epps, right?
Yep, Omar Epps.
Yeah.
Yep, shout out to them. You know, because they played the stew out of that role.
Mhm.
But it was, and again, it was that determination. It was that I'm not going to give up on you no matter what happens. And even if we could still be friends, you know, that's cool. Like another movie that they played in together. I don't know if y'all remember. Have y'all seen The Wood?
No. I've been recommended to see it, but I have not seen it.
See it.
I can't remember. I feel like I have.
Okay.
Can you tell me like this, like the premise?
Okay, so basically, it of course stars Omar Epps, Sanaa Lathan, and a bunch of other characters. But it takes place out in Inglewood, California, and it starts off, of course, with Omar Epps. He's the best man of his friend's wedding. I think Tay Diggs was in there too. I think, and there was some other guy too. So they're all good childhood friends, and so it goes back to when they were like kids, and I think either middle school or high school and whatnot. And of course, boys being boys, they did weird, crazy jokes. As the movie goes on, sees a girl, his friends tells or dares him to go slap the girl in the butt.
Yes,
And
yeah, and on the playground. They're probably like in middle school or high school.
Yep. And so he does it, only gets mollywalked by the girl. Okay. But she takes it a step further and tells her brother, like, you know, hey, some dude just grabbed my butt and whatnot. And so, of course, older brother protecting younger sister beats the living crap out of him. But girl realizes that, like, you know, dude really didn't deserve this snot kicked out of him, but it's like, oh well. So get ready for the prom and go to the gas station, buy Tic Tacs. The brother, whose sister, the brother of the sister that he likes is robbing the store, and so the dude recognizes him. Like, okay, cool. So they get into the car, get pulled over. Dude had drugs. Drug residue in the car. He sneezes, gets the guy away scot clean. Guy says, okay, even though, yes, I kicked your butt, but you saved my butt even more. I'm going to say a little bit more about my sister. And if you all two date, I'm okay with that. So he says, this is a song by Luther Vandross. When it comes on, go ahead and dance with her and everything else. He says, okay, cool. Of course, hears the song, finds her. They start dancing, and then from there, it develops into this relationship. And of course, they had sex, but they use protection. We get that. And yes, big ups to protection. Of course, brother gets in trouble by his girl. Girls think he used the condom with some other girl and whatnot. It's like, no, it didn't happen. And so from there, there's some other stuff that happened that I failed to forget, but it jumps to the present day where Omar Epps is walking his homie down to get to kind of calm his nerves down. He's about to get married. And as he's preparing, the girl that he dated a long, long time ago, played by Sanaa Lathan, she comes in the scene and old feeling starts again. It was like, you know, hey, you want to start off with a thumb, like blah, blah, blah. Yeah, sure. Then, of course, movie ends. So that's the gist. So if you haven't seen it, go see The Wood. Very good movie. You'll like it. But again, it portrays Black love as this very romantic, and it's very innocent. It's very relatable, very relatable. And then again, of course, like Toby pointed out, that yes, the music that they have playing in the background, it literally sets the mood, it sets the tone. And even then, like, okay, I know we're going to be in for a treat. I know we're going to be in for something that's like, I call it soft porn. You know, that's basically what it is. Yeah, that's what I call it. It's soft porn. So it was like, okay, cool. We don't get to see the whole world on, you know, the movie theaters, but, you know, it's there. You know, I think another good one will be Soul Food. That's another good one, but it has a more so family dynamic behind it, and and then even in that one, you can tell that yes, it has that old school flavor of love, romance, but at the same time, it also has that family dynamic of sometimes family hurt each other, you know, and sometimes those wounds cut deep, but because of the love of family, we all come together, we get over it, and we do what we got to do to move on. So again, that's another one. And if anybody else is watching, if you have any other like TV shows or movies that kind of portray Black love, you know, drop them in there. You know, even if there's something that you might have read or watched that has that essence of Black love, drop it in the chat. We'll blow it up, and you know, we'll go from there. You know, and so that's one aspect. I know, Toby, you talked about the other aspect of Black love, like as far as music wise. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that?
So I think I was just talking about how like a lot of like R&B in particular is very expressive, and you kind of have a lot of. It can be very. You can say it's either very central, so it could be kind of descriptive of what a guy might be saying, what he would say to court the woman, or how he would, you know, do things. If you want to get more explicit, or sometimes it is just like a very kind of traditional, you know, leave it all, I want to love you for the rest of my life type of song. And I mean, a lot of love songs exist, of course,
right. But
there's something very soulful and very like a lot of people play this kind of music themselves. Like, I don't know, like it just kind of strikes this chord that's hard to describe unless you're like really listening. And there were a few like R&B live streams that were happening, different like people who normally would do concerts, but because of COVID, they sort of had live streams. One was on Sunday, and the other one was, I think, 2 weekends ago. And so I was kind of just listening along, and you know, a lot of people are feeling in the chat. You know, it can range from, like I said, wholesome to less wholesome, but that's just like a way that a lot of the love is portrayed. It's not so much like, it's not quite the same as like a movie or TV show where you have a direct story. You might have a music video, of course, but it just kind of strikes a certain mood in you. Just kind of vague, but
no,
I feel like.
So would you say like it strikes a different mood compared to, I guess like more pop love songs, like mainly written by and sung by like white people?
Yeah, like, and I mean, I'm sure there's quite a range of like pop love songs. Like I've never really been into that genre, but like if you think of like Adele, Taylor Swift, I mean, there's a lot of people, you know, it can be very sweet. Well, maybe Taylor's a little bit more fiery, but like I feel like it's the deepness of it. Like it can get so deep and descriptive in some of these R&B songs. And like, it's like love and music sometimes. That's just what it is. So I feel like that strong expression that you see with a lot of other genres of Black music, it comes out in R&B, but more in the love, more in the, more and more on the love side. And so I feel like obviously soul is very soulful. I mean, there's a lot of music, there's a lot of genres that, you know, were sort of popularized by Black artists that have a lot of power and expression, but R&B is kind of like especially known for sort of the romance, the love, the attraction. Sexy time music, you know. It is that like, we're going to dim the lights, we're going to set the mood, we're going to get the roses, we're going to do all this stuff. And R&B, of course, is like, R&B is the thing. Like, we're going to have an R&B playlist, you're going to come over, you already know what it is.
Don't play Floetry, then.
You said don't play what?
Don't play Floetry. That group that sets the bar like there. It embodies what exactly that you talk about, and especially one song I know most people who have heard it is like, oh yeah, that one gets hot. Is all you gotta do is say yes. You know, that song there, it puts you in the mood already without you actually getting in the mood. And then it's like, dang, okay, you know, I feel some type of way. Like, oh my gosh, I got butterflies in my stomach. I don't know why, but it's like, it puts you there. It's like, you're there without being there. But even then, even if you have it in the background with the lights dimmed down low and everything else, is like, it brings out that sexiness to it. It brings out that sensualness to it as well. And again, like you said, it brings out that soulfulness too, because like with them, they put mind, body, soul, emotions. They put all of that in there just so it could come out, and then especially in a way where Black people can relate to it. You know, not to say that no other race can do it, but Black folks they have a way with words and music that actually says a lot without actually saying a whole lot. Which is why, like, you know, R&B is like I can listen to it, but I'm like, I got to be careful sometimes. You know, because like, nah, can't do it.
No, I get that. Like sometimes I get it. But like sometimes, like, you know, you're in the mood to just like kind of listen to like those songs, like even when you're like in the car driving, just to, I mean, not to like get turned on, but just to, I don't know. It's just sometimes it's just soothing.
Yeah, yeah.
It can be very soothing. Even outside of the mood and everything, it's just like something very peaceful.
It's like loving. Sometimes. Yeah, it's like sometimes it's wholesome and loving, and like I don't know, like sex can be wholesome and loving too. It's not like sex only needs to be paired with like the devil emoji. Like it can be paired with, you know, hearts and loving.
True. Oh my God. True. But that brings another question. Now, I know we kind of dabbled in I wanted to say roles, but I know we talked a lot about the men's side of the coin when it comes to Black love. But what about the women's side of the coin? You know, and especially in the roles where sometimes the leading character is a Black woman. Like, Elle, I don't know if you want to talk about this or not, but what do you think? What do you think as a Black woman when you hear about Black love and how it's portrayed in the media?
The first thing that comes to mind is like hard, difficult, as sad as that may sound. It's usually, and it's just like from like how, like even like how I grew up, or, you know, just from, you know, like even what I've seen on television and everything, it just seems like a lot of it just kind of falls on the woman. Like whether it's like sometimes the Black woman will be the breadwinner or be the caretaker of the kids and everything. I'm not even saying not even like just single Black women, but you know, that for sure as well. But it always seems like the Black woman has to keep it together and like keep her emotions in check, and you know, the strong Black woman archetype or stereotype or what have you, which I really cannot stand. I don't identify as a strong Black woman personally, but everybody says like, "Oh no, you are strong." It's like, okay, thanks. Like, you know, I'm successful and all that, but I don't know. Like, you know, watching shows. Like, I know this is like crazy shows to compare yourself to, but like watching shows like Scandal or How to Get Away with Murder, you know, you have like these very, very strong Black women who everything kind of has to fall on them, and they have to fix everything and make everything right, and you know, look perfect, be perfect, and it's just like it's just so much, you know, like. I wish there was one of the things I really loved and appreciated with Issa Rae was like the Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl, which just celebrated like their 10-year anniversary as a web series. And you know, it just shows Issa Rae's character Jay just being awkward Black and a woman just, you know, just kind of just in the world, just and you know, I never felt I guess like so seen essentially. Okay. Even though, like, yeah, of course, I didn't relate to her like 100%, but you know, like I did, like you know, I related to her a lot. Where, you know, like in her book, she even says like, you felt too Black for the white kids, but too white for the Black kids, and that's exactly how I felt. Where I'm just kind of, you know, like this nerdy, geeky in between Black woman who's like, you know, I love hip hop and R&B. But, you know, also listen to like rock music. Like I bought tickets to see Incubus last year, but I couldn't see them because of COVID. So I was really upset.
Okay.
But in terms of in like media portrayal, it just seems like just more difficult than it should be in terms of dating and relationships and things like that. And yeah, I feel like that's just the best way for me to describe it. Just unnecessarily difficult, and when it shouldn't be. I don't think. Like I understand that dating sucks and it's not easy, but sometimes it's like I don't feel like it should be this hard.
Gotcha.
And like you see it like portrayed in, you know, in TV and stuff like that. Just life in general is just harder when it doesn't need to be.
Okay, I can understand that. I can understand that, and it's funny when you were talking about kind of being like awkward and everything else. It just being in the world. I think about Grownish, you know, and how the main character there is like.
I don't think Yara Shahidi is awkward, even in Grownish. I don't think so.
Well, and again, she may not be awkward, but like there's these situations where it's almost like she has to think about it in a way where it's like it doesn't contradict who she is, but it leads her to kind of question what is she doing, why is she doing this, why is this happening, and try to not necessarily figure out the answers for herself. But share it with her close group of friends that can be like, you know, well, how about you look at it in this way and almost kind of challenge her, you know?
Yeah,
to get her out of her comfort zone, to be like, okay, I see what you're talking about. Let me go ahead and do it this way, you know, and it works, you know, and I think that there needs to be more shows out like that. I mean, Girlfriends is a good example from like back in the day. Because and again, you know, a lot of it was more so self-love and making sure that, you know, the women, even though yes, they were successful and everything else, that at the end of the day, they had to take care of themselves. You know, they couldn't really rely on anybody else to do it for them. And even if they did, it was like, you know, okay, I'm not going to take me for granted. You know, even though yes, you're doing a nice gesture, and yes, you may be all that in a bag of chips, but at the end of the day, you know, I really can't fully depend on you, because if you, heaven forbid, get into a car accident and we're still dating and everything else, I still have to rely on myself to get me through, you know, everyday struggles. And it's like, you know, I think that was a huge. And even now, you know, I see a swing of that happening, where more and more Black women they are going back to loving on themselves and taking care of themselves. Not to say that they haven't been doing it, but it's more so prominent now, where you see that happening a lot more. Let's see. I feel like
that was based on a tweet I said.
Yes.
Let me see if I could.
Yeah, I want to see this.
I laughed.
I
laughed.
I saw that you like the McCoy channel, like Twitter and Ron actually both retweeted. I thought that was hilarious. I was like, I shit the McCoy channel. What?
I laughed. It was hilarious because I'm like, man, that's messed up. Like Elsie, like, yeah, you can bring your boyfriend over here. Like, I got some goodies to put to him. I'm like, yes. Like, hey, I need you to do this, that, and the third. And while you're doing that, I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna make something to eat, and I'm gonna just kind of like I'm gonna prepare it. And so when you get hungry, here you go. You know, and then when your girlfriend comes back and picks you up, you know, if I just happen to wink at you, you know, say same time tomorrow, and you just help me say yes, I'm like, okay.
So
who is dating?
Wait, what? So I wrote, I understand living with your boyfriend can be hard during these times. So if you ever need a break from him for a day, you can drop him off with me.
Yes. That was hilarious. I laughed. Like, I literally laughed. I'm like, that was hilarious. Like, yes. And that's why I follow you, because you post some of the most random stuff, but it's so funny. I'm like, yes. Like, I need this on my Twitter feed. Like, yes.
I appreciate that. Like, sometimes I feel like it's like, geez, people probably think I'm so random, because I would like sometimes write something that's very like thought-provoking and like mind-opening, and then the next thing I'll write some like random shit like that. Like very next day, like 20 minutes later, it's like but no.
Is this the same L? Hey.
Yeah, right.
Yes, I mean, that was hilarious. That actually made my day. I'm like, yes. Yeah. Evil genius. Oh yeah.
Don't let her deceive you. Don't let her innocent looks deceive you. She's
innocent look. I guess I'll take that. I'll take that as a compliment.
There you go.
Yeah. You said you look like an African American history professor. So very wholesome.
Like last that's how my dreads were. Like they were.
Yeah, you had
like
it on the bun.
Yeah, but like I couldn't like lean back. So
true.
It's the quiet one.
That is so true.
It's because we're listening. We're listening and we're, you know, like understanding the world.
Yeah. Oh man.
Well, I guess I'm quiet. Like, if the thing is, like, if you ask me a question, I'll answer. But yeah, but that's what we're even talking about.
There we go.
Yeah. Black love. So
We're all having fun here. Shoot, was there something?
Come on, Toby.
Man, I don't remember, but I think there's just a few things that resonated where I was like, there are these larger than life Black women, and I mean, props to them for playing these roles. You know, on like you said, How to Get Away with Murder, and all these other shows. And of course, the strong Black woman, which it really gained a lot of prominence. Like people were talking a lot about why that's not a helpful archetype or stereotype. Like, because it's just like you put all this kind of burden and you expect them to be strong, which has consequences, whether it's in the medical, you know, woman being performed on, or just expected to take abuse, or
right.
And of course that can translate to all women, but especially with Black women, it seems like being strong is like a virtue. And I mean, I've seen some people say that like a lot of it is not something to be proud of, that there's a lot of stuff that, you know, aunties, moms, grandmas, all these people have put up with to make things look good behind the scenes. Now there are some, you know, wholesome, great, like loving partners and relationships, but there are sort of a lot of, they had to be strong because they had to keep everything together, and that's not good or ideal. I know that kind of ties into the concept of struggle love, which was something we kind of mentioned before, but like a lot of the movies, it seems to be like a virtue that like the woman has to put together the man or ride along with whatever is going on, and eventually he'll become something. And, you know, you just gotta believe it, like fall in love with potential, right? Falling in love with potential versus yikes, you visibly audibly grimaced. You have some stories you want to tell? The open mic is yours.
I guess like that was probably like my middle school, high school dumbass self. And I mean, I don't know what the hell he's doing. This particular guy looks like he's doing some sort of modeling shit on Instagram. I mean, he looks good, but he was an idiot. I doubt he'll ever see this. He probably doesn't know who I'm even talking about him. But so, anyway, I mean, I kind of learned quick though. I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna, you know, put myself so much into like a guy who I wasn't even like really dating. I was just like really liking him, and you know, like. And, you know, would I say that I helped him a lot in life? Yeah. And, you know, I'd say he's probably better off in general, at least than, you know, if I had never really spoken to him or known him. But that really made me think of just like, okay, let me just put all that into myself. And, you know, it's a better use of, you know, my time since, you know, like I never want to, I'd never been like, since then I was like, no, I'm not going to try to fix a guy. I'm not trying to. But I'm going to shut up just listening. No, I agree. Sort of. Well, but yeah, like to finish my point, you know, I decided to just kind of no longer try to fix a guy or try to fall in love with potential, you know, which is bad. Like, in a way, because you know some guys really do have like a lot of potential, you know. But I feel like that's probably like the relationship between Lawrence and Issa and Insecure. If you haven't watched the show Insecure, which you totally should. About men supposed to be strong. I don't know. I feel like that's a problematic stereotype personally, because I don't know, dating or talking to men who never. Like their definition of strong, rather, because they feel like they can't show emotion, they can't talk about things, they can't try new things, they can't, you know, they gotta stay on like this straight and narrow, hyper heterosexual path, and you know can't deviate a bit from it. It's like, hey, do you want to go apple picking? It's like, no, that's gay. Or like, hey, do you want to? You know, it's like, oh, what's wrong? You want to talk about it? It's like, no, that's gay. Or like, no, and they just stay silent and try to change the topic, and that's hella frustrating as well. But I agree. Like, of course, you shouldn't put everything on the woman. You know, the woman, vice versa, shouldn't put everything on the man, or woman to woman, man to man, or whatever your gender is, and your preferred gender to date. I personally believe that there shouldn't just be one person that's everything to you, essentially. Like even your dating partner as well. You know, like if it's your wife or your spouse, or you know, like your boyfriend of 30 years. Yeah, this person might be like your best friend and everything, but you should have relationships with, you know, other people, your friends, sisters, brothers, colleagues, parents, to be able to talk and, you know, convey certain things. Yeah, exactly. High EQ is very hot. That is absolutely true.
And I could talk a little bit from the men's side of being strong, because I know in my household that was the one thing, especially like living with my dad. That was the one thing that he really pushed upon, was that men weren't supposed to show emotions. That men were supposed to almost do everything in a way, and even then it is like to have those deep, heartfelt conversations. No, it was never part of the picture. Never part of the picture. And so it was almost like, well, you would have to put your emotions in a compartment and push them away, and not really deal with the issues and the situations at hand, and just focus on do what you got to do and be a man. You can't wear your emotions on your sleeves. You can't have any weakness among you, because if you do, then some man's going to take advantage of you and do gosh know what to you, and the only thing you got is a man is your pride, and in most households that I saw, that was the most common thing, and it didn't hit me till I got older and I had a family of my own. And I'm like, man, that's kind of jacked up, and even to this day, like my kids, they always say, like, Dad, how come you never cry? Like, oh no, your dad cries. It's just that I don't cry in front of you guys, which I know is bad in a way, because like it puts off this stereotype of men don't cry. It's like, yeah, men cry. It's just that, is literally done behind closed doors. It's done where nobody else can see, because for most men, that's a sign of weakness. And again, because we live in this age where men are supposed to be this strong macho guy who has no emotions, is like, that's not true, and even then, excuse me, because even then there's been times where even me and my own blood brother, we got into some arguments and whatnot, and like came home, mind you, kids was in the car with me, and like I cried in the car, and they're like, are you gonna be okay? I'm like, I don't want y'all to go through what I'm having to go through. Like, don't. No. If you can stay away from that toxicity, please do, because it's not good for you. I mean, don't get me wrong, eventually later on down the road, we both made up and everything else. We're still cool at the other side of the pillow, but even still, it's that stereotype, especially when it comes to like black men. It's that stereotype that lingers, and it's like, it sucks in a way, because again, you talk about going apple picking. Like, I think that's cool. Like, why not? Case in point, me and the missus went up to Traverse City, cherry capital of Michigan, and we were like, hey, let's go cherry picking. I'm like, cool, let's do it. Why not?
Would you go cherry picking with your boys though? With your guy friends?
We go shoot guns with guy friends. We shoot guns, okay? We shoot guns, but I think even still, then it will come off weird, and here's what I mean by that, because you really don't see a bunch of guys like doing a group activity like picking cherries or picking apples, unless they're like real like farmers or whatnot. That will be the one runoff, but
possibly gay.
Possibly gay, and again, it's just something that we don't see as often. And so it's a little weird. And so it's like, okay, we could have went hunting, we could have went fishing, we could have went and chopped down some trees, but we're going.
I mean, it's hunting for fruit, okay?
No.
There it is.
You're going hunting for fruit.
God dang.
You're going home to feed the tribe.
You
Some
can't.
good potassium.
Hunter-gatherers, right?
Vitamin C.
You can't use a rifle on a cherry. That's overkill.
I mean, use like a bow and arrow.
Honey for fruit.
Like in the old days, you had an apple and you shot it with an arrow, right?
Yeah, like if it's like the apple on the head, and then you should. Yeah.
Yeah, if you got terrible aim, that's the last time he's holding up that apple.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
Yeah. Like, no. Yeah, I get it. But even still, it's just that. Let's see.
I actually just saw a comment. Oh my goodness, if I can remember where I saw it on Instagram. It was saying something like how there are like traditional quote unquote rules, gender rules that can be done right. So I remember it was a woman who basically was saying, I love how like these guys will say women should like stay in the kitchen, but then when you look at back in the 20s, 30s, the men, they did everything. They were the sole provider. They worked from like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. They didn't see their kids or wife that often. They were expected to do literally everything, and also be married like before 23 years old. And I mean, she basically went in, like she was doing like this makeup art. So it's one of those TikToks where you're doing something in the background, giving like a speech. So I remember one of the top comments was how a woman was in a traditional relationship, and that the man, like her husband, was like, he would never say something like that, like get in the kitchen, because basically he always would say like, thank you for making sure I eat, thank you for basically the food, you would do a great job around the house, yada yada. And so while that's a hot debate in itself of whether you should adhere to typical roles, as long as it's done with understanding and obviously respect and everything, and not just like a sort of entitlement, like that's the agreement. I do my part, you do yours. Maybe we can each pitch in. I remember me and my siblings had a talk. We were like, this is one of the first times that we all had been out of college. So probably like 2017 or so, 2018 maybe. And we were going out to lunch, brunch. And my older sister was like, so what do you boys think about splitting like childcare? And I hadn't really thought about it because I still don't know. I haven't 100% visualized what kind of marriage or relationship I'm going to be in. But like, I assumed, I'm a working professional. She'll be a working professional. That's kind of the circle that I've been hanging around.
Childcare is expensive.
But yeah, I mean, childcare is expensive. So I'm thinking like, okay, if we're both providing full time, I mean, people can take maternity leave off, obviously, but to some extent, then what happens after that? And there are rules. Like some people will say like, hey, we'll just have the rule where you take care fully, or we could split and have some kind of stay-at-home mom and stay-at-home dad situation. But I mean, things are definitely different with the way work has evolved, and professionalism has evolved. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know the numbers on how most people adhere to it, but
I remember one of my sister's roommates when my sister was getting her PhD at Harvard. One of her roommates was also, like in the PhD program as well. And I think she had just gotten married or engaged or something. So I don't know how exactly this topic came up. But she was saying like, yeah, honestly, all I want to do is just be married, have kids, and just be a stay-at-home mom. And that's it. Like she was clearly brilliant if she was, getting her PhD at Harvard. But that's all she wanted to do. So that's pretty cool. I think she was like Indian descent, Middle Eastern something. But that's it. That's just all she wanted to do. I'm sure it was cultural. Yeah, like I don't know the exact numbers either, Toby, but I have a feeling that a lot of it has to do with your upbringing, where you grew up, and things like that.
Ask her again in 10 years. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I look at it like,
I'm trying to like finish this bottle because I feel like it's gonna go bad soon.
Why?
I'm not an alcoholic. It's just once the bottle pops, the fun don't stop.
Look,
just do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do.
Oh man, I'm gonna say wine. I haven't had wine that tasted bad. Wait, hold on. Let me
Like
not
what
lie.
bad?
Let me not lie. Hold on. There is some wines that I've tasted. Ugh, no, never again. But even then, it's like, Toby, I can't see that. I don't see like a.
Hey, what's the bottle?
Oh, I know. I'm just letting you talk while I grab some stuff that I forgot was even right here.
Oh, I got this one, The Girl and the Dragon.
19.
Girl
I got 19. Hold on. I got 19 crimes.
Oh,
Finishing this bottle might be one.
Okay. Fellow
There's like
Red.
God knows how many bottles are there. I haven't really touched them since January. I bought a bunch of them late last year.
Jeez, Toby.
What?
That's definitely bad. That's definitely gone bad.
No, but wine though, like really? I don't think so. I hope not.
No, wine definitely goes bad. I've had wine go bad on me. It smells terrible. That's why
I do remember wine getting strange at one point. But it wasn't like
I don't think it'll kill you, but it's just unpleasant.
yeah.
Oh, it tastes
I guess
better on fire.
maybe I should have. Well, first of all, I've made
Before
a mistake.
it's opened. Once it's opened, it's just like anything. Like when you open,
Know what you're doing. I'm gonna figure this out.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, but I'm drinking a Malbec. Oh boy. Okay.
We got La Marca Promesco.
Okay. Oh,
Prosecco. I can't speak. It's all good. It's okay. We got
Prosecco.
Kung Fu Girl.
Okay.
And we got all of these are like partially drank. And I just gave up at some point, or I wanted to save them to drink with like a friend, but obviously we're in COVID, so that's a little difficult. Calia Bella, another red, I think.
Okay.
And I don't remember. There's like 2 other things over there, and maybe like 1, 2, 3, 2 up there. I don't know.
Nice.
There's a lot of wines. I don't really drink wine much, which is why I like cleared out the liquor store one day. I was like, "Hey, can you just tell me what your best wines are?" And then the lady was like, "Yeah, of course." So I went and,
got a bottle of each.
But again, it's like I don't drink a lot of wine, so people will see these bottles and be like, "Wow, that's you got a problem." And I'm like, no, actually, a lot of times when these bottles are here, they've not been touched for a while. So if anything, that's good. It's probably worse to not see wine bottles because that means it's worse not to see alcohol bottles in my apartment because that means I've been going through them, and that's not good. So you should always be happy to see like 10 bottles on the shelf because that means that I haven't like powered through them.
So yeah, wine can go bad once it's been opened. Once it's been opened, then it could go bad after a couple of days to weeks. White wine, of course, should definitely be kept in the fridge. Red wine can be kept in the fridge. Like some red wines are pretty good chilled, but you could kind of leave red wines out. I should have probably put this in the fridge because I opened it I think Thursday or Friday, but
so wait, you're telling me?
Yeah, I'm telling everybody.
No. Sorry, I'm saying you're telling me that bottle that you just opened is like in danger of going bad. One that
it's in danger of going bad.
Because these things were open. Let me just say that they were not open in 2021. So
well, smell it. I'm pretty sure, but you could prove me wrong. It's just my brother's just only a sommelier, which you've probably seen it spelled. That's all. So I know a thing or two about wine.
Wait, your brother's one of those people who does the tasting and the. Oh wow, my friend. I need to talk to my friend Carlos, because he always told me about. He watched a whole documentary about these people. I mean, all I can say is that another part of our topic is self-love is very important, and what I'm doing here is probably not in that realm of self-love. So I would probably recommend that you don't do this. Just leave the wine out. Like I'm pretty sure I haven't put these in the fridge. They've just been out. And sometimes they've been, the apartment's been cold, like in the 60s, but a lot of time it's been like 70, 72. So make your own decision about what's going on here. You know what? We're gonna just try and see what happens. I'm gonna be.
Let's try it. That's what I love about Toby. He's like, oh, eggnog was from 2 years old. Let's just try it. I feel like you should just have your own YouTube channel. You just trying mad expired things. That's not quite why. It's like, you know what? Fuck these expired labels.
Actually, there was a thing on my Snapchat where I would post this chicken that was like maybe 2 months, maybe a month, maybe a month and a half, maybe less than a month, like past the date. Okay, 2 months is a lot, but like definitely a month. And I would just be like, hey, here's this chicken. Some of it questionable. You can look at and smell and know that this is not going to be good. Others seemed fine.
Was it in
by
the
the way,
freezer,
no, in the fridge.
Oh,
so
okay.
Which is so as it was past the date that you're supposed to freeze it by or cook it by. I'm alive and I've had zero side effects, but I also shouldn't tempt fate like I did. And I wish that I actually, because it was chicken always seems to be the best, which is kind of weird because chicken is like the thing that you have to cook the most. Like you can't have medium rare chicken, like please God no. But beef and
fish,
and there's some things that you can just like cook on undercook. And so I'm surprised that the chicken always seemed to be, and the ground turkey, which I guess is also poultry, seem to be the things that lasted the best. Pork is no, like pork, which I don't really even eat that much anyway. That's just no. And that thing will like go bad so quickly. But like ground beef, even beef patties as well, ground turkey, they all seem to be fine. I wouldn't necessarily, again, self-love is part of love. And I recommend that this is probably not the best self-love routine to cook these things well past the dates on the label. But hey, we are adventurous in this household of one. So I do what I do.
House of Toby. House of Toby. You're adventurous in this household of one.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Julia down here.
Oh,
I'm like stressing people out in the chat. Oh, if I can find the pictures on Snap, I'll post it on Twitter.
I mean, hey, you're still alive. I mean, you would have been gotten sick, so you're probably fine. Maybe you discovered something new. Maybe the packaging has just been lying to us this whole time. Just scrape the mold. Yeah, I kind of do that too when it comes to like tomatoes or like strawberries. I could cut off the sour bits, pears, things like that.
Yeah, it depends on how badly these things have been like desecrated. Oh man. So I guess this little tangent aside, what maybe this is more of a personal thing, but what kind of things would you consider, I don't know, like would you either do to set the mood, quote unquote, or things that you would consider like this is something that if someone loves me, this is the way that I would be loved? We talk a lot in the, I guess.
That's the disclaimer. That's the disclaimer right there.
Yeah. No, that's never a thing. I mean, my chicken, I don't like to overcook it just because no one wants like tough chicken, but because you have to be careful with it, I just go all in.
Julia, yes.
Yeah, I think that's part of it too.
Yes.
Be my superhuman.
There you go, Elle. Yeah.
We're gonna have a whole session right here.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be Superwoman, but you're not a woman, Toby. It's not yet.
What? No, wait, I need the image. Hold up. Where's that whole of image when you need it? Because I don't know about that one. You're funny.
Oh man!
All right.
Toby's not a woman. He's full-blown man.
Poor Toby.
Well,
I always make fun of Toby. I feel bad. That's how to love.
Yeah, see, I can take a few hits, so it's all good. Love languages. Since a lot of people like to talk about love languages, and I've taken the quizzes, I don't even fully know what my own love language is. High key. Well, I should say I kind of know a little bit of things that I would appreciate, but like, what things would you guys consider like they do this thing for me, they really love me, even if it's more abstract. You can be specific, or you can talk about like, you know, quality time versus words of affirmation versus gifts, and what's another big one?
The like
Physical touch, of course.
like acts of service.
Oh, that's the big one that I was thinking of. Yeah.
And don't forget words of
Affirmation.
affirmation.
Yeah, so it's words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, physical touch, and gifts.
Okay, so 5. I thought it was 6. So I kind of have an idea for myself, and I think when I took the quiz, it was, I mean, because it was one person, one girl, I guess, who was curious to see what I would get. So I took the quiz, and I sent the results, and she was roasting me a little bit because I think for me, like, acts of service was pretty high, and so she was like, "Oh, so you just want a woman who's gonna do everything for you?" And I was like, "Wait,
that's nothing wrong with it.
You got me. Yeah, you got me." I was like, let me just lean into it at this point. if that's what I'm gonna be roasted for, then sure, why not? Not literally, please. Don't actually think that I'm looking for like a human slave. Anyway, what are you guys?
Okay, Toby.
Huh?
I said, okay, Toby.
But it was. I mean, I feel like for me, like, if you're putting time and energy to like help me with some projects or things that I'm struggling with, even if it's just as simple as like, oh, I picked this thing up, I know you've been meaning to do it, or just a way that, you know, you're helping serve. I mean, that's pretty hot.
Okay.
I know that my top 2 are quality time and words of affirmation. Yeah, and I really love hearing like things that I do that, you know, like they really appreciate, because sometimes, you know, I just do things and it's not like I'm necessarily expecting to hear something, you know, I'm not just like tit for tatting, but it's always nice to, you know, definitely hear things that I do. And then it's like, oh, okay, now I know, then I'll make sure to maybe do that in the future. Like, you know, like cook them something or be funny or something, or I don't know. But quality time I like a lot too. It could be even just like talking on the phone for a long time, or, you know, just hanging out, talking, drinking. Like this. This to me is filling up my love meter.
You know, I gotta put a disclaimer out. Okay, Trouble for Gang. Listen, over this channel, I don't think you're gonna get canceled. I don't think there's a way. So, bruh, you good. But if you gotta dip, we understand. If you gotta leave, we understand.
Yeah.
But besides that, no, you good. You are good. You are good. For me, because I remember Miss Coco off of Twitter, she posted a link to figure out love language. This was like months ago.
Oh, Miss Coco is.
She's she was in the she's down in Florida. She's down in Florida, maybe not in your area, but I do know she's down in Florida. And she had a link on her page. She's like, you know, what was your your love language? I'm like, okay, cool. I know the top one for sure was she's in Delaware.
So Yeshua was just here the whole time. He's like, oh, I can answer this.
She in DE. Okay, she in Delaware. Okay, so I thought she was in Florida for whatever reason. Anyways, I know my top one was physical touch, and I think my second one was words of affirmation, and from everything else just went down there. But you just came from the kitchen. Oh, that man was whipping up something good.
Yeah. I told you, sure. I was like, you should come on this. I was like, come on tonight. I was like, come on tonight, bro. I want to hear what you have to say. I mean, it's all good. It's all good. But we've had some interesting talks before, a little bit interesting chats about different types of relationships and all that other jazz.
Mhm.
Because it is the 21st century. You look like you're physical.
Cuzzo, listen, you have no idea. Cuzzo, have no idea.
I wonder if he's talking about me.
I don't know. Cuzzo, who you talking about? You talking about me?
I thought he was talking about Ron.
L.
White man made up the love languages.
It was like a white Christian man, yeah.
Oh shit! Oh, for real? Oh.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like kind of biblical.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, Lord, stop it! Stop it!
You got
Go to
family in the
bed.
house?
Go to bed. When you get home, go to bed. I know who you are. Go to bed. But yeah, no, like physical touch for me is like high. You know, acts of service, it's just one of those things where I can do it, no problem. Quality time is like, okay, cool. What do you want to do? You know, no big deal. Quality time, acts of service, words of affirmation. That's pretty much high. Is like I want to know what I'm doing right to continue to keep doing it. Even if I'm doing something wrong, I want to know what I'm doing wrong so I don't do it again. You know?
Yeah, 100%.
And then that physical touch is like it plays into what we were talking about earlier with the music and whatnot. It's like it's that feeling of being wanted and desired and whatnot in a way where it's like, you know, come here. And they're like, oh, okay, you know,
okay,
let's do it. Okay, I'm with you. Or just something physical where even it was like a light brush on the hand or like probably scratching the back of my ear and whatnot. Again, just the little small, little simple things like, okay, cool, like that'll work. And it's like, okay, I'm with you. Like I am here. What is thy request of thee, madam? And you know, and it's one of those things where I had to learn like over time, like what made me tick. And so I think that more and more people should do it because you never know about yourself until you actually take time to figure out who you really are and what makes you tick. And you can be either the good way or the bad way. So that plays into that self-love and ultimately for Black folks, you know, that should be the one thing, like what makes me tick in both a good way and a bad way. And once I figure that out, you know, would my potential spouse be able to what's the word I'm looking for?
Fulfill
those areas. You know, and if not, okay, let's talk about what we can do. You know, and just go. Oh. Water's delicious.
Water can be delicious, yeah.
Water's delicious. Well, we talked about did we talked about struggle love, didn't we?
I think we briefly spoke about it. Like, how would you define struggle love, though?
I would define it in a way where it's like where you're in a situation where you love that person, but that person keeps doing you wrong, but you don't want to leave because the person has been treating you like very well, but at the same time that there's always like some kind of negative consequences, whether it'll be like a mental thing, or will it be a physical thing, or will it be a emotional thing. Is like no matter what happens, like even if you try to get away from that person always does something to bring you back, and it's like it's hard for you to say no, because that charm, that charisma that once captured your attention, that once drew you in, it's hard to let that go, because it's like you love it but you hate it, and you rather die than go without it, you know.
Okay.
And
so it's like an addiction almost.
Yeah, almost.
Because it's like that like going back to the chase sort of thing.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Where like you get hooked on the first hit, and then
Put it up.
Oh, I'm dead.
Like, I mean, Ronald is like whole married.
In your quest.
Dude,
ongoing quest with more side quests. Like, what's going on?
Side quest.
Okay, Toby, we are not playing real life Final Fantasy. No.
No implications. No implications there. Disclaimer. No implications.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Tomorrow, I was just like,
you're good. Tomorrow, you're good. You're
like,
good.
Toby and I need to go on our love quest.
Toby needs a few side quests.
I mean, Toby's gone on a lot of side quests. Like he's already eaten like spoiled meat.
No,
drinking, like, spoiled.
These are some dangerous. These are some other dangerous quests. Now for the love quest, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
Ooh, my favorite Final Fantasy. Okay, my favorite Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy VIII. I love that one. I mean, I even still have it on my PS3, for crying out loud. And I got as far as getting to the 4th disc when it originally came out for the PlayStation. And so on the 4th disc, I didn't fully beat the game, but it was the one Final Fantasy game that if I could sit there and play for hours, I could. It not bat an eye. And then I was almost close to getting all the GFs in Final Fantasy VIII before, things went crazy and haywire. I was probably like 5 away to getting all of them, just to kind of put that in perspective, side. But still, it was like that was probably like one Final Fantasy games that I enjoyed the most. And I think the second one that I actually enjoyed, which was a little bit challenging, was Final Fantasy VII. That one was a little bit more challenging. It made my brain hurt trying to think about where I had to go, how I had to do it. But even still, I still enjoyed it, but not as much as I did with Final Fantasy VIII. Because, I mean, they also had the trading card game, which I was a beast in. Yes. Oh, I love that. That true. My deck was nice. But even still,
Do you guys know why it's called Final Fantasy?
Because it never ends.
No.
I actually never played Final Fantasy, so I'm just like, huh?
What?
So, fun history fact about Final Fantasy. So the creators at the time, they were called Squaresoft, I believe, not Square Enix.
Mm-hmm.
They kept coming out with games, and the games just kept falling flat. Nobody was really playing them. So they came out with Final Fantasy because it was like, this was our final game. This is it. This will be the final game. And if this doesn't work, then, we're out. And then Final Fantasy happened to be a ginormous hit. Then they kept coming out with, the next Final Fantasies.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, sheesh.
I don't think I've ever finished playing Final Fantasy VII. I was a kid. That game came out, what, like 95, 96?
Somewhere around there.
Maybe 97. I know I had it on like the computer, on the PC. It was 2 discs. I don't know if I've ever really finished it, but I know how it ends. I have Final Fantasy 15. I still haven't finished, but I am enjoying it. It is a fun game, though.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I know. I like back in the PS3 era.
No, like Sass is correct. Like,
Yeah.
PC is, yeah, exactly. It was the last of the
Yeah. Like I remember in the PS3 era, the one thing that I got into, which was like really fun, and I didn't really think it was going to be fun, was Final Fantasy Online. Like that one was very cool. I'm like, okay, like awesome. Like this makes Final Fantasy like very much relatable, and be able to customize your character the way how you want your character to look, and figure out what fighting style this, that, the third, and to be able to go on quests, side quests, challenges, this, that, and the third. It made playing Final Fantasy fun again, in my opinion. And to be able to kind of go on your own adventure and do things that you could do and do things that you would normally do in the Final Fantasy games, but now you're pretty much in control of doing it too as well. Yes.
So,
anime fans. Yeah.
I have not seen Death Note yet. It's short, so I really should binge it. Yeah. So I just wanted to put that out there before someone drops something.
I don't think for whatever reason, and I keep meaning to come back, I just never finished Death Note, and it is short. But like L isn't from Death Note; it's actually just my first initial. But that makes sense. I never even thought of that. I never made the connection. I should be like sitting like him. Like, let me see if I can even do it.
There you go.
Oh Lord, what's happening?
There you go. There you go. Yes. Blackface.
Yes to the anime. Definitely yes to the anime fans. And I'll actually say Toradora, for those who don't know it, is a pretty hilarious. It is rom-com. It is a romantic anime, but it doesn't come across that initially. It's just really hilarious. And so Toradora, which I guess is supposed to be like a bull, it's supposed to be a reference to a bull. It's pretty good. And the girl in the show is like the definition of tsundere. Just the most kind of aggressive girl, like for no reason, refuses to show her feelings. But that'll be a whole different discussion about anime.
Yeah.
And that would be cool to highlight some people in anime, creators and everything. Creators of color. Yeah, so about Struggle Love, I know part of it, in addition to like I know we did all types of Toradora, but I love it.
I love it. I love puns. I love it.
I see Sassa's profile, man. I've been. Do I not seem like a rom-com type? I don't really watch rom-com movies and stuff in general, but I've heard of Shujo. I don't know what that is. It sounds bad if it's secret. Hopefully it's nothing sus like Lolicons, but because I can't endorse that. Let me see.
There's nothing wrong with shoujo anime. I feel like more men should.
I love some anime. Yes.
Some dares.
Oh, guys should watch Fruits Basket.
Which one? I've seen the old school. I haven't watched the newer one, but I watched the older one.
Fruits Basket?
Fruit Baskets, yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that they created like there's a newer one. I saw that on Hulu. I was like, what the hell? But yeah, no. I gotta watch Fruits Basket. That's like a random, like, because I used to read the manga, That's just like a random one that I just like think about sometimes, especially I believe his name is Yuki, the mouse or the rat. How he always like wants things to be perfect, but he tries to like make sure things like aren't perfect sometimes, which I think about that a lot because there are times when I feel like things need to be perfect. And I'm like, no, things don't have to be perfect. Things don't have to be. Okay. Wow, so they're only up to 3 seasons.
Yeah. That's her. Like, I sat through the original one. The new one, I'm like, I can't do this one. Like, that's all you. That is all you. That's all you. However, we still got to get on Attack on Titan, the final season, and we got to get caught up on those episodes.
Yeah, you do.
Man, listen.
You're lucky I haven't really been spoiling things on Twitter.
That's okay.
Yeah, please.
That's okay. I've already read the manga, so
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to read it. I know exactly what chapter I need to go to be caught up and start reading, but
so at one point, because I watched Attack on Titan when it was still coming out, like it was a few episodes in when I started watching that, which is right around the time I got into anime, so it was kind of great timing, except that like it ended season 1 and I was like, oh my gosh, like it was end of 2013 or so for end of my second year in college, and I was like, what the heck? So then I went and started reading it like the next year, probably summer of 2014. I just started reading it, including the parts that I already watched. Then I kept reading and I was like, oh man, I'm now past, and hopefully everyone at least knows what happened in season 1. So it was like at the end of that big fight right through the city, and then you start to see some more important, interesting things, like what's going on with the walls, what's behind the walls. And I was like, oh, snap. And so I kept reading and reading up until January 2015, which is crazy that was 6 years ago. And that's the last chapter I ever read. And I think I got, at one point when the anime started coming out again, they dropped season 2 and 3 and whatever. I think where I finished reading was past season 2, but it's not as far as, it's not as far as the newest anime season. So either way, like if I watch it all, I'm gonna have something spoiled. Well, spoiled. If I watch it in order, it'll be fine. But I wanted to at least read it and catch up, and then go back and watch it. But at this point, I don't know if I have the patience. I might just have to like watch season 2 and just see everything happen. Because all I remember was there was some stuff that I don't want to say on the air, but like there was some interesting things. No, they didn't go to the basement. Apparently, that's a big thing that happens. They go and see what's inside the basement. It wasn't that far when I was watching it. I remember there were those guns, like those people with like the guns rather than the swords. I'm being a little bit cryptic, but if you watch, you know what I'm talking about. And so I remember those like survey squad type people with the guns. And I remember there was a big showdown in like a castle. And I think it was right around there where I stopped reading. And they were trying to reveal quite how the Titans came about, but it still wasn't fully revealed. So there's quite a lot of stuff that I don't know. 6 years to be exact. So I'm being careful because I don't want to see anything that I shouldn't see, and I'm not gonna like. Most people.
I can't believe 6 years though. That's so long. Because I watched it like right when it came out because like I had just graduated college, and I had no job and I was just living at home, so I had jack shit all to do. So I was just watching just random anime on Crunchyroll, just finding things. And yeah, like the first season came out, and I was like in my own world thinking I was the only person who was watching this random ass anime show. Then like I'd see on Facebook, like a lot of my friends were even talking about it. And then the second season didn't come out until like years later. And then the second season had the audacity to be like 11 episodes or something short. Like
the audacity.
It's like you take years to come out and you give us like 11 episodes and you're like, I don't even know what to do with these episodes. Like they were like okay. Season 3 comes out, I think like 2 years later. Then I kind of fell off, and then like when I found out this was the final season, I was like, oh shit, I gotta catch up. So like I like binge watched season 3. in dubs. I have no shame because if you're trying to binge watch and catch up, and and like in our society now, we're all distracted on our cell phones and everything. So it's like, okay, I can listen to English.
Right.
Like I cannot listen to Japanese. I could probably understand 1 or 2 words. Like,
awesome.
That's real. That's real.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, anime is always like it'll always become its own like tangent. What were you gonna say, Ronald? I feel like it's another disappointment.
Yeah, like that's like our weakness. That's our weakness to talk about anime. Like we talk about something like so deep, they're like, it's like, oh, did you guys watch Attack on Titan? Do you like Mikasa? It's like, oh hell yeah, I love Mikasa.
Yeah. And video games, Lord have mercy.
Yes.
It's like, I love her.
Toby, I'm gonna need you to go back and watch season 2, like for real, because I got you. Hold on. I'm gonna need you to go back, watch season 2, season 3, get caught up on season 4, because bro, man, there's a lot that has happened. There's a lot, and I'm not gonna spoil it, but there's a lot that has happened.
Yeah, I know. This season is just like stuffing so much stuff. Like the end of season 3 and then starting to season 4. Like I was like, what? It's like, and I'm like, this is gonna be the final season. Like they just introduced like this big ass thing. And I'm like, it's like they're only gonna give you 1 more season of this.
To flesh this out. Interesting.
Like, the audacity of that show, I tell you.
Okay, here we go. Hold on, before we go there. No, I have not gotten into JoJo.
No, I haven't either. I've heard it like it's like really funny because like it makes fun of other anime shows, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe I'm totally wrong, but it seems funny. I may check it out, but as of right now, not right now.
Yeah, JoJo's one that like I've heard has a very, because I know we were talking about this before on my Facebook, but JoJo is like a strong fan base, a pretty strong, I don't want to call it cult following, but just like it has its own culture like to it. So I figured I should eventually, but like there's a bunch of smaller ones that I've not gotten around to, like a lot of short ones. So to say my top 3, I mean, as much as I pretended that I was this huge anime nerd, I've really only seen like a handful. Like, of course, Naruto was how I got into it. I read Bleach just because I was like, Bleach is one of the big 3. Why don't I start reading it? I actually liked it a lot more than I expected. And I'm not going to say it's better. Well, I don't know. Bleach and Naruto, like, they have their differences. Naruto, I feel like, has a bigger universe, and there's just so much. The video games, especially, I love those Ninja Storm games. Bleach, I feel like, is kind of its own thing. And I enjoyed Bleach a lot, but I don't know, some people probably won't agree that it was a lot of people might not agree that it's like up there, but I like Bleach, and I hope they animate the rest of it. Yes, I can see that though. Like, and for me, Naruto is the gateway just because of that game, but Bleach, I probably would have enjoyed it just from reading it. So I read it first, not all of it, but I read pretty far into Bleach. I think the first major arc with like the Soul Society and the conclusion of that arc before the Waco Mundo Hollow World arc. So right at the end of that arc, and then the visors were introduced, I actually started reading. I was like, you know what? Let me go back. Sorry, I started watching. I was like, what I'm going to do is before I read any further, I'm going to go back and watch all the episodes for what I just read. So I started doing this little game where I like would read up to the part, and then I would start reading some more, and then I would start watching some more. And I think eventually I got to the point where I actually could watch past where I read, which is not normal because I don't normally watch the anime first, unless it's like something like Toradora, and then if it's something short like Death Note or there's some other ones like Steingates or Psychopaths. There are a bunch of them that I would probably just watch to watch. Oh, Assassination Classroom was good. I didn't finish it, but I got like maybe 6 episodes in season 1, and it was good. But like I lost track, and it is what it is. I watched like the first 5 episodes of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood with friends, and that was good from what I was watching. I just didn't pick up on it on my own. So I don't know. Bleach is good. Naruto's good. Attack on Titan's good. It don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I have to like rewatch some of these and figure out if I really think it's my top. But Naruto's close to home. Like that's always going to be in my heart. One Piece is the one that I never got into because I've just been dreading it about how long it is. Some people say it's the best one of the big three. It's the best like jump shonen, but it's long and it's so involved. I don't know if I want to go into that quite right now. So when I actually start watching these things again, then I can give a better answer because right now I've only seen like two really. Almost a Bleach I didn't finish, but I got like 50 chapters from the end, which is pretty close. Which is good because it's so long as well. Naruto's the only one that I could say I've really finished. Well, okay, Toradora, but that's short. And then I don't know. Everything else I've only partially eaten at. So I don't know. I have to have like my own binging session, but I just again have lost track. Which is kind of speaks to a broader problem. Is what happened to all my hobbies? It's like I got to get back into it.
Yeah, I would say for me, it's going to be Gundam 00. That's number one. And the second one is Trigun. That's my second one. And then for my third one, and it's not even in any old random order, really. Sheesh. I think number 3 would be Double O, Trigun. Sheesh. There's so many.
I know to do a top 3 is always so hard.
There's so many.
Like,
If I had to pick one to kind of like put it up there, and I need to find a way to finish watching it, would be Valparaiso. I like that one only due to the fact that, of course, it's in that mecha genre of anime, but the opener is made by TM Revolution, which happens to be like my all-time favorite Japanese music group, period. And they've done openings for Soul Eater, for most of the Gundam series. I think they did one for Rurouni Kenshin. I think they did the opener for that one as well. I mean, yeah. So 00, Trigun and Valparaiso. Top 3.
well, the third one I don't know.
This is a good one. It's a good one. I didn't think about it. I don't think it was going to be good until like the first 2 episodes. I'm like, oh, this is good.
Yeah, I don't know. I've had a lot of like what do you call them running lists that, and I think I actually made like I forgot what it's called, my anime list. There was some anime list app or website, and I've had like all these running lists, and knowing dang well that I'm not even going to get to these, so I can like collect some of these names and pray and hope that I actually watch them eventually. But I've never watched any Gundam type shows. I think Tengen Toppan Gurren Lagann was a big one. I've heard really good things about that show, and that's another shorter one that I meant to watch.
Yeah, I don't think I finished Gurren Lagann. I finished Kill la Kill though, which was made by the same people.
I've heard good things about Kill la Kill.
Kill la Kill is fun. But like my top 3, I don't know. Like whenever a guy on a dating app asks me that, I usually just spit out just 3 random anime because they never have anything to say after that. They're like, "Oh, so you really do like anime? Oh, you really are about that life."
Oh God.
Never mind.
Like, why the hell would I lie about that? But anyway, I'd say like Card Captor Sakura was always like a favorite of mine, like just growing up. I forgot there was like another one I was gonna say. I can't quite remember. Oh, like Last Exile. I really liked. I watched like a million times. It used to be on the channel G4 when they had that anime thing. It would just be like some random ass anime show, and it would like the guide would never even tell you what it was. It was just like Anime Unleashed, I think was what it was called.
Okay.
So I really love Last Exile. Trying to think of another one. I was like, I mean, like, I'm really loving Attack on Titan. Like, I feel like that's like really high up there too.
Yeah.
Because like just the story is just that good, and it's just very mature, and it's like really very very thought provoking.
Yeah.
Because like it kind of reminds me of like American capitalism a lot. Like, where like you kind of just you're young, like they're like teenagers, so they have to like do this thing because that's what they were told, and so this is what you got to do. It's like, oh, you got to do this. If you're part of this thing, you got to do the to kill the Titans, and then like the ones with like the highest scores and like the best grades and stuff tend to be like the military police, the MP, and they're more in the center of the walls. And when the character Annie said that, like that just kind of blew my mind. I was like, yeah, why is that? Why are the best ones in the center? And then they have, like then you, of course, you could choose to be, the scouts and be, out there trying to like to survey, check out the fields and be outside the walls and everything. But, it's just like they kind of just throw you into this world and you don't really question it until they start questioning it. And then you start questioning it. And you're like, yeah, like, why is that? Like, it really makes you just kind of question things. And that's why I feel like I guess it's just very pertinent. And, especially nowadays when you're like, I feel like our country is just in a time when we're just questioning everything. It's like, yeah, why was our police, police were essentially, when they were first invented in this country were to bring back runaway slaves and to patrol enslave people essentially, and then they eventually evolved into like what it is today. And it really just goes to show you why history is so important and why you need to know this, because all of us are just kind of born into this world, into this country, and then you just grow up learning, trying to figure things out. And a lot of the times, people are keep telling you not to question things, but you can't help but question things.
Come on.
Yeah. So that was just one example, just using police as an example. But, there's just so many other things and aspects of this country. It's like, well, why do Black people always live in the hood? Why is the hood, not as appraised as high, in home ownership? Why is that? Why is this? And like when you actually, dig down and research and understand the truth, that's when you get very angry and frustrated. But when you're living in ignorance, you're living in bliss. And so it's just like, oh, that's just what it is. Like I have no issues with that, or, I don't live in the hood. So, that's not my problem, et cetera, and so forth. So, long story short, that's kind of like that's what I really love about Attack on Titan, where they're just like really learning about this. It's like, yeah, why do these Titans exist, and why do they look kind of like humans, and what is their purpose? And the walls were only erected like 100 years ago, which is not even that long when you think about it. Like people's grandparents would technically know what life was like before then. So, but you don't really hear that. You just have the perspective of these young kids, and they hear things of like, oh, I hear that the sea exists, but who knows? We don't. It's like, oh yeah, there is no sea in this world, or it's like, how did the walls even get there? Because they were just born into this world, and they live in these walls, and these teachers teach them these things, and they're just supposed to believe. But of course, there's going to be people who question this because that's just only natural. And yeah, like, and that's how I feel, like, especially being American in America, you learn about a history, and you get like a spark notes version of history, especially Black American history, African American history, and you don't really start to fully understand it until after you're out of school, after college, like when you're actually living life and seeing these things, and you start to think back, and you're wondering, like, why didn't they teach me these things? Why didn't they teach me the hard truths, the gritty truths? Like, that's really important and necessary. But it kind of goes to show that they're really trying to manipulate you, like, to put it succinctly, they're trying to make you think a certain way, believe certain things, and then just go on with your merry way. But it's not like they're really trying to change things, for the children to actually learn the cold hard truths. So, yeah.
Bravo.
That's why I love Attack on Titan. That's why I'll put that in my top 3. Oh, I'll be cliche. I don't know. Like, I think it's just a phenomenal, series.
Yeah, that makes sense. Don't be nothing to be ashamed of. If you like it, you like it. That was interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you, Seth. He said that's deep L.
Yeah. No, I will say I'll respond to the things Sass said about only liking Soul Society. I mean, obviously, different tastes are there. I liked Soul Society. It was a good, solid arc, but I really love the Waco Mundo arc. Like, there was something that was just so deep about a lot of those fights. The fights went really deep, in my opinion, and they kind of forced like new depths of a lot of the characters. Like, Soul Society is fine. Those fights also like very good fights, like Ichigo finally showdown, like with Byakuya, Kuchiki. Like, there was a lot of good fights, but like with the Waco Mundo, like things got really deep with some of those fights against the Arankar, the Espada in particular. I would say that
What shows those?
Bleach. Did you ever watch?
No, I only watched like a little bit of it, but I hear it's really good.
I really enjoyed it.
It was decent. Like, it's a yeah.
It's like I had to go back and watch some of those fights. Like, Soul Society was like when I was watching it, it like completely sucked me in. Because like you're watching Bleach, you're reading it, it's good, it's fine, things are cool, people are getting powers. But then when it drastically changes in the main sort of arc where you have the first real challenge in the Soul Society where souls live, and it ended pretty well. And then you kind of wonder what goes next. Things drag at some point. I would say, like, when anytime you have a war arc, like Naruto, you had that war that just never ended until finally. With Bleach, you had a war which went. I mean, it's kind of weird to explain if you don't know. But there was like an arc where you go to where the dead soul, not the Soul Society, but where like the bad guys live. So think about going to the enemy's lair. And they call that Waco Mundo, which is like Hollow World in Spanish. And that arc I liked a lot. But then after that, there was like a war, and that was like a forever war. Whenever you have a forever war, it can be hit or miss. Like, I kind of enjoyed some of it, but it kept going and going. And I mean, I think it ended decently, but then you had some arcs after that, which were a bit of some people say were a bit of a miss. I thankfully was able to watch it well after they were all developed. So it wasn't like I was painfully waiting every week for an episode only to find out the episode was trash. So even for some of the later arcs that people didn't like as much, I still was able to watch and go through. And I don't want to like spoil anything too major, but like,
I mean, the show's like 1,000,000 years old, so
that's true. I mean, one of the things that happened.
I think if the show is completely finished and it's been finished for like, several years. It's okay to spoil it.
Yeah, I mean, the spoilers thing is not really the outcome that happens, but more of a side effect. It's still important, but he kind of has to lose his powers at one point in order to help defeat one of the bad guys, and he ends up like regaining them in another arc. And some people didn't like the way that went down, and they felt like this was kind of shoehorned in. And it wasn't useless. It was definitely not as action heavy of an arc, but I still enjoyed it a lot actually, even though it was definitely slower paced. Like his let's get powers back, and it wasn't like he was trying to get his powers back. It just things were kind of happening, and everyone's confused, and then you see how it unfolds, and it's kind of okay. Then after that, everything just goes crazy. Like the final arc that they did was like the most brutal by far. Like people were actually like dying, or if not dying, close to dying. Like no one really came that close to dying in the earlier arcs. And like Naruto, you had a lot of like big characters that did die. And I mean, again, it's an old show, so most people probably like won't be spoiled.
Right. Because like they're like the fucking kids have their own show now, so
Boruto.
Neji dying, like fuck, man, like that was so hurtful.
Yeah, that was unnecessary.
I loved his character. Like man, that's so. And like, what I hate is like you fall in love with Itachi like right before he dies. Like,
I mean, Itachi, they definitely made it so that in death you had a lot more respect for him. Even same thing with Nagato and Pain, right? Like this guy is brutal, but you have a sort of respect for him. And then after he's defeated, you have a lot more respect for him.
And I never finished Naruto. Like, I think that's kind of like where I fell off was like with Pain. I think, but I do know like his name was Pain because like he went through like a lot of pain, right?
Right. Wanted the world to know pain so that they can know peace.
Yeah, I remember. I don't know. Maybe eventually one day I'll try to finish Naruto Shippuden.
So you actually then know though a lot of stuff because obviously you know about Neji, and that's like a much more recent thing. That's like later on. That's like pretty close to the end. So you just kind of like know a lot of spoilers.
I guess so. I feel like I saw when Neji died though. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I just like skipped over some stuff. I know that I don't really know about like I guess when the black people show up in the series. Like,
the Cloud Village.
Yeah, like I don't really know about that.
That was after Pain. After the conclusion of the Pain arc, there was some stuff going on with Sasuke, and the Cloud people were not happy. And so, yeah, it was like a diplomatic crisis where they were like, we need Sasuke's head on a platter because he did something involving the Cloud Ninja. And so the Cloud Ninjas do happen to be mostly black, or at least a lot of them are, like the Raikage. And one of the
right? He's the eight tail.
Killer Bee is, but Raikage is his brother, or at least adopted brother.
Okay.
So the two of them, they're both pretty strong, but like there were some issues going on, and so you get to see a lot of them, which is cool because like you said, they are the black characters. Which, speaking of, kind of a separate thing, but if I was gonna cosplay, besides Toby and the Toby mask, I would have also done Killer. I would have done Killer Bee. Hold on.
This is like using like your work computer or something. Oh man.
It was my Amazon Echo because it comes off with a reminder at 11 p.m.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I mean, we're gonna talk more offline about some of the. I mean, I always like talking about anime, but because I'm not so hands-on with it anymore, a lot of new stuff. Like, what's the really popular show? My Hero Academia. I'm just like everything goes over my head.
My Hero Academia is great. That's a phenomenal show. That's great. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, that one's really, really good. I want to watch Demon Slayer because I feel like a lot of people talk about it.
I've heard of Demon Slayer. Don't know much about it.
But I do want to tie this all back to, Black love, especially self-love. Watching anime is definitely self-love. I learned that honestly recently, where it's just just to be okay with your nerddom, to accept it, to be like, all right, this is a thing that I like. This is a thing that I love about myself. This is a thing that I love. So I might as well indulge. I feel like anime is like one of my guilty pleasures. But I'm not really guilty about it. It's just me.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things where I was like more comfortable with that like expression. Same thing of like the nerddom and being like, I don't know if you call it alt black. Like I know one person who has the name alt black. So I'm kind of just borrowing that from him. But like, it was kind of cool to find out like those communities. I mean, I didn't really hang deeply in them but there is like on Instagram and a lot of places people who are like very into like Black culture and anime. So a fun little a thing to drop is the extraordinary journey of a Black nerd group. Right, most people know about this. Planet Jobin.
Jobin, yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I was in it before. It was called Planet Jobin or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like it still is.
Yeah, that's the name of it now. And I haven't really been checking much in the group, but they've talked about obviously anime and that kind of stuff. And it's nice to like, oh, this is my people. Because my thing, which is kind of like an overarching topic, is that I've not necessarily gone into like these Black diversity spaces to get away from majority white spaces, but it's more because sometimes some interests that you might have, you don't necessarily see a lot of other Black people openly talking about and expressing. So like I had no problem watching anime, talking about anime video games with my white, Asian, whoever friends, but I wasn't necessarily talking about that stuff with a lot of other Black people or hearing about it from a lot of other Black people. So it's kind of like this group where it's like, oh snap, other Black people who are into anime and this other stuff. And so self-love, but even like when it comes to partner, it's kind of cool to see someone who's like fully accepting. Like you don't have to share every single interest, because Lord knows there's a lot of nerdy interests that I've never been into. Like I was never really into the Harry Potter or what is some big one? Star Trek, Star Wars,
Lord of the Rings.
I've watched it just because of my sisters would always watch it, but I've not watched it by myself. And I know how it kind of ends, but honestly, there's quite a lot to it that like I wouldn't have done. Like for me, I was never a person like, oh, I'm excited to watch this and read this. I never read like comics. I definitely didn't watch anime or read manga before going into college. And I mean, Avengers, of course, is more mainstream, but like I saw a few Marvel, maybe cartoons growing up. And so I would say my nerd status, because I sometimes feel like I don't have a nerd card, is that like I played a lot of video games, mostly Nintendo. I played a lot of Flash games. I just remember this a few days ago. I used to play a ton of like computer games, like not real PC games, but just like let's go to this website. Yeah, on the browser, which my dad was never happy about because of viruses. And I don't play it now on my own personal computers, but I'm considering maybe if I want to use Twitch, let me be a little unconventional. Instead of streaming all the stuff that everyone streams, why not go back and like look at some of those Flash games that were popular, or even go back to retro games. But the point is, like, I had like a few interests, but I wasn't big on the nerd pop culture stuff. So it's interesting trying to like, I don't know, like fit into that space. And then like, it would be interesting. Like I said, not everyone has to have all the interests I do, but if I was going to have like a partner, it would be nice to feel like, yeah, this is kind of a quote unquote safe space, or here's all the nerdy, weird, quirky things I was into. And
yeah, usually on my dating apps, I would put like I'm into video games and anime. But like there was like a long period where it's like, yeah, I'm still into that, but I would take like a long hiatus off of certain things because life happens, or like I only got one TV, so sometimes like, oh, do I really want to like focus on a video game right now, or do I just want to watch some crappy TV show on Netflix?
Right.
So like it'd always get kind of annoying when I shouldn't say annoying, but I'd feel kind of like what you said, Toby, where it's like, if you really had like your nerd card, to say like when a guy would ask me like, oh, what are your favorite anime? What's your favorite video games? Blah, blah, blah. I used to have like pre-written responses just to copy and paste. And to keep it moving. But you know, like I've definitely fallen off of like video games and stuff like that. Going to E3 used to be like one of my dreams. Now, I don't know. I hope to go to E3 at least one day. But as of right now, no. I love to go to like some sort of like Black Nerd Con. I know that Atlanta they have like some sort of like Afro. They have something in Atlanta, which seems pretty cool. Like I would love to go there. I guess Sass went to E3. He's like, you don't want to go. Like, or was it like men not wearing deodorant or something, or is it just expensive? Is it very boring? I've been to MegaCon in Orlando. That was pretty cool. You know, I feel bad because like, what's his name? Stan Lee was actually there, but I didn't even get to see him, and I could have.
That's feels.
Wow.
Yeah, I forgot who I saw in person. Can't even remember. But yeah, no, MegaCon was actually pretty fun. I didn't know you were supposed to dress up. My friend dressed up, but I probably would have dressed up. I know that there's like SuperCon, I think is what it's called in Miami, which is kind of big. But MegaCon is definitely like the big one in Florida. And then there's Dragon Con in Atlanta. Yeah, it's packed with smelly people. Can't even walk. Why is that not? That's sad at E3.
Yeah, that's interesting at E3.
But that's still like nerdy, you know, neckbeard basement dudes. So
I'm dead.
like,
I think
that's true. It's sad. Like, sorry for stereotyping, but you know, to break the stereotype, wear deodorant and take showers.
That's self-love in itself.
Right.
Yeah, that's also hygiene, self-love. I think the big ones, like I've never been, and I had the chance to have gone last year, like right at the end of February, I could have gone, like the last time like anyone could have done anything. But it was my birthday weekend, and so I didn't want to. I think I was just like busy with some other events, but I had some friends who went to, I think they called it PAX Con, something that happens in Boston that I've never even heard of. PAX. Or is it called PAX East? Let me see what it's called. PAX East Indie Showcase. Oh, so it's a showcase of indie games and gaming festivals. And so it happens in Boston, but I'd never heard of it. But I think because one of the, like, two friends of mine from college, and they're married, and the guy is like I guess an indie game developer. And so that's like a pretty like intense field to be in, because like you have to really love it. I mean, you're just hoping, kind of like if you're making beats or like you're making music for fun, it's like you're hoping someone just takes your stuff and looks at it and for free and gives you that chance. And then eventually, if someone's interested, they can start paying and whatever. So E3, I don't know. Like I used to also want to really go, or like I used to watch it, if not live, at least catch the Nintendo showcases. I was really into it, but then I fell off pretty hard when I got to college, probably, and a few years in, when I was into anime. Then I fell off anime when I got to grad school, kind of. The funny thing is, I know of Otakon and Katsucon as the big anime conventions. I don't know how well they're known outside of the area, but I feel like because they're in like the capital region, it's pretty big, right? So like Otakon used to be in Baltimore, Katsucon was in DC. I think Otakon moved to DC. And so I think Katsucon was around this time of the year, like January. And Otakon's like always in August. And my brother went to Otakon, from what I remember. I have to ask him how that was again. But I was like, maybe I'll go. But I don't know. I mean, it's a lot. And I feel like I would have to go with people I know, because it'll be kind of overwhelming. Like there's people who are super hardcore, super cosplayers, we're going to make our own costumes. And I'm like, I'm not even about all that. I bought my Toby Katsuki robe and Toby mask on Amazon. That was really it. I looked actually to buy like a Killer Bee outfit for Halloween, but I would have had to have looked at some online website that was not Amazon, and I didn't know how reputable. I was like, this is too much for me. So people go all in, and I don't think I was really about it. But that would be kind of cool to do with like, you know, a special someone. If someone was interested in like that kind of thing, you can say like, yo, you want to go to this convention and check it out. We don't have to like be hardcore about it, but we can just see it and experience it and see the culture. And like you said, maybe like one of those black, I know there was supposed to be like a Afrofuturism thing. Like once Black Panther came out, there was some Afro future thing in the Midwest, I think, actually. Future convention. They're in Detroit or Chicago. I have to find where this thing was because I remember hearing about it. San Diego. I don't know. I'll have to look this up later, but it would be kind of interesting to see. And then you have Afropunk as well. It's a nice
that's probably what I was thinking of, was Afropunk.
I wonder if it ends up having a lot more like artists and people performing. I feel like it's it's kind of mainstream-ish. Brooklyn. Yeah, you're right though. One of them is in Atlanta, but I think the big one is in Brooklyn. Toby needs to find a nerdy GF. So I gotta shoot my shot in the. Actually, let me stop.
There you go.
I was gonna say, let me put something out in the Yang Gang.
Like there was on Facebook, there was a Black single millennial degreed like group to try to meet people or whatever. But it would be kind of cool if there was like a nerdy aspect to it, because like the questions that like these that would get approved and like these people would be asking were just so trite and cliche. It'd be like ladies, do you like it when guys go down on you, like something like obvious? And it's like
What?
really like this it'd be like, it's like, oh, and it'll be like, or there'll be like a YouTube video of something that was just cliche and trite, and then it'll be like thoughts. It's like like what are your thoughts? Not like like
no.
Right. It's like thoughts. It's like thoughts on this stupid trite cliche video, and that's what would be the post over and over and over again. I don't know if I'm even still part of that group or if I left, or I don't know. I would just always respond just like snarkily sarcastic. I'm very sarcastic because guys say some dumbass shit. I'm sorry, not sorry. And you're like, it's like, what, like, I understand you're trying to find somebody, but why are you posting? Like, it's like, is this what's on top of your mind? You know, like that's what's on top of mind. Like, it's like, oh, this woman on YouTube made a video saying that she expects her guy to buy her all these shoes and diamond rings and all this stuff. Like, what are your thoughts, ladies? It's like, clearly not everyone's like this. Like, I don't know where, like, I feel like in the Black community. Yes, Elle and Toby are single, and Ron is married. So yeah, he's
like super taken.
He's like super taken.
Like the lovely, like that's a high up level. He's gone.
Why not, Toby?
I will say I hear questions like that. Like, really? That's a question? Like,
I don't know.
Other people, like, who cares? If you go down. If you don't, But
people are trying to generate. I don't know if they're trying to stir the pot, but sometimes you see like some kind of big thing and be like that's why I was laughing at thoughts, because like I've sometimes even done it where it's like, this is low key controversial, but I'm gonna just post it and caption it thoughts, because I'm just like, I kind of want to see what happens from this. And so I do think that happens a lot where people are just like, thoughts on this controversial thing. And I'll kind of related, but in the Planet job, in the journey of an extraordinary Black nerd group, I remember once there was a post about like a woman was saying, like a lot of time, like it was so controversial, but it was funny. Like a Black woman posted about how like Black nerds are basically the same as jocks, or like nerds and jocks. Basically, like you might like they're saying how like I think a lot of Black nerds feel like they should be more entitled to women, kind of like the whole nice guy trope. And they were like, you know what? If I'm gonna like get disrespected either way and like be treated misogynistically, I'd rather be treated by the person who at least looks good and has more self-confidence and better hygiene.
I knew you were going.
I'm dead.
If I could find the post, because so many people, like I didn't see all, because the way Facebook is, sometimes you can't really see all the top comments. It just shows as a stream. So I remember like one woman was like, LMAO, like all of these men in here are so salty.
I mean, like I agree though. It's sad, but it's true. It's like, if I'm gonna be disrespected, I might as well have something good to look at. like, I was like, yeah, like good good, like a lot. I feel like a lot of guys, not even necessarily like in the black community, just guys in general, especially nerdy guys, they're like, oh, this girl's with this guy who's, doesn't treat her well, but I could treat her better, blah, 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 this and that. A, you don't know if you could actually treat her better, or treat her in the way that she wants to be treated. B, she's most likely with this guy because he's good looking. Sorry for being shallow. Sorry, not sorry. You're clearly into this girl because she's pretty. So she's clearly into the guy because he's hot. C, girls are going through life just like guys. We're still trying to figure things out. We're still growing. We're still learning. We're still maturing. So yeah, like this girl may just keep making these mistakes. She may learn. She may not. That's life. Doesn't mean you need to learn yourself to like not consistently obsess over her. Don't try to be like, her white knight, her knight in shining armor. Like you got to go find your own woman in some ways of capacity. Like, yeah, your own woman may not be as attractive as her, but she will be, I'm sure she won't be, like terrible. She'll still have, beauty in her own ways, and you'll find beauty in her in certain different kinds of ways. You just have to open your eyes and open your heart in that form as well. So, yeah, like it is shallow, like, like what Toby was saying in the group, like, yeah, it's shallow. Like it's a joke. Yeah, of course. Like if I had to choose between the two, like ugly nerdy guy versus hot jock guy, yeah, of course I'm gonna go with the hot jock guy. I have eyes. Like I have a type. It's like, yeah, I'm like I may have a couple of things. I have definitive things in common with this gentleman. Yeah, sure, but I could definitely find some things to be in common with this guy. Like, sorry, not sorry. Like it's true. Like it's sad. Like we're born with certain, we're dealt with a certain hand of cards. Some are better than others, and you just got to play with the cards that you're dealt with. It like it sucks. It's shitty. But like it's not just men dealt with these cards, because I don't know like where in life men were just like, oh, they expect me to pay. I gotta get a bunch of money, blah blah blah. At least that's something that you can acquire. Like if you're a woman who's just ugly, born ugly, in this, like, that's really fucking shitty. And that's like not really talked about. It's like, yeah, I understand that women are overall, like, I guess more coveted than men. And there will be men who are attracted to like a woman who's very unattractive. But, like, I honestly think like a guy who's 5 foot making, $600,000 a year gets a lot more women than a woman who's very ugly making $600,000 a year who gets, a lot of men. That's my opinion. I could definitely be wrong. Like I'd say like probably one of my more controversial opinions is that I think it's easier for men to get into relationships than for women to get into relationships. Like, yeah, men may have trouble just having one night stands and sex. Like that's a thing that women, especially attractive women, have over men. But it's not like this great power that like we need. It's like, yeah, like I like men. I like just I like people in general, especially like getting to know people. But it's like, okay, if I wanted to just go off in life and have a bunch of one night stands, yeah, I could do that. But like, that's a lot of work, like that's constantly going out, looking hot, doing this, that, and like just being up to having sex with whomever, which I'm not. But if you are, that's great. Like no judgment here at all. Like at all. Like if that's what you want to do, go for it for sure.
Crap.
Like
Ron got taken, and he got taken all the way out.
Jeez, I didn't know you were laughing that hard. Like, yeah. I'm very like just non-judgmental, very like, you know, feminist, very like, hey, you know, get yours, you go, girl, kind of like. I don't judge at all, but like,
Yeah, that's a gamble.
I got holistic Hottie here to laugh. Who knows how long she was here? I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know how long she's been watching us. that's like that's a whole thing. Like I might have to like record my own, like, I don't even know if you call it a podcast, but I feel like the ideas of like love, sex, relationships, especially like if you're in a more traditional family or community, like my parents are Nigerian immigrants. I know your family is Jamaican now, and even you, Ron. Like, I feel like a lot of these black.
I mean, Ron's like American. That's a thing.
Church.
It's like Ron is just bland rice.
No.
Like, sorry, not sorry. I hate the fact I was born in America, but hey, gotta make what I gotta do.
It's very broad, and I mean, it's not that it's not broad or diverse for Nigerian, like African and Caribbean immigrants, but there's a lot of times typecasting of like you have these immigrants in your household is super strict. While if you're American, for any race, it's kind of like depends. Like, yeah, there's a lot of strictness, especially in like the Black church and other things. But there's some other families where things were pretty open, and it's kind of interesting. I've even seen some Caribbean families where like super open. Like I
mean, like the men are open with like the boys, but it's not really with the women too much. Like
I saw someone's mom. This woman I think there was maybe Haitian, Kenyan, some mix, and the mom I saw was
Haitian is probably a little bit more open.
Maybe.
Go on.
I remember seeing the mom twerking, doing her thing, and the woman's like hyping her up. The girl, my friend, and I was like, "Oh snap!" I was like, "This is different." I mean, I've seen stuff like that before, but like seeing it this weekend, like they're just kind of having fun on Valentine's Day. So I'm not gonna say it's 100% true to any given group, but that's why I kind of mentioned it was like usually you see a much kind of strict, kind of sheltered lifestyle. Me and my siblings were talking about this just this past winter about how like we were talking about with our parents, which is like that's how you know we've like made it when we're talking about this to our parents of like we had this sheltered upbringing, but we were overall grateful that even if there were some things we didn't expect, we turned out pretty well, doing well. But there's a lot to unpack when it comes to some of that like relationship love stuff, because it's like, so we weren't really told about dating growing up. So what do we do now that we're in our 20s/30s? Thankfully our parents have not been hardcore like you need to get married, like some
Nigerian parents.
Nigerian especially, and other African, where it's like the women are expected to get married. Men, on the other hand, we don't get told anything. We just kind of chill. I know you have to roll your eyes.
That's like every culture. It's so annoying. Like, oh my goodness.
Go get married. Go.
You know, like my mom gets on me because I rarely cook. Like even tonight, like I feel bad for sure, but I don't know. Time kind of caught up to me. It probably shouldn't be an excuse, but it's like I don't know. I feel like I have like this pressure to be like the perfect woman for a man who's clearly gonna not be perfect, probably far from that. It's like, oh, so I gotta like do this, and this while the man just exists with a penis. Like, is that it really? Like,
oh my god! If I could find this thing, I will. Sorry, you keep going though.
Like, I mean, that was pretty much. But like, I literally like just like learned within myself that like you know when like you hear these things and you know, okay, this is fact. Like, oh, representation matters. I gotta say this and promote this, but like low key while you're by yourself, you're like, but why though? I wish somebody could explain this to me. That's how when people would say like, oh, just so you know, you are enough. I'm like, okay, all right, okay, I'm enough. All right, okay, cool. I'm just going on with life. I'm enough. And then I didn't like. I just realized this probably like a couple of months ago, honestly. That's like, oh, I see what that means now. It's like even in my flaws, I'm enough. Even with my imperfections, I am enough. I deserve to be loved, even though I may not be my idea of perfection of like the most ideal perfect woman, and I should just be me in my whole self, that I am enough. And I literally just like it clicked, just like literally a couple of months ago. Like, yeah, of course, it's like, okay, yeah, I know I'm enough. Okay, cool. I don't know what the fuck that means, but like I'm enough. It's like, but yeah, I mean, it's embarrassing. Well, I'm not embarrassed, but you probably think I might be, but I'm not. But, like I just realized this. I'm like, okay, I understand, and I'm really like taking it in. It's like, okay, even in my imperfections, even like no matter how hard my mom may get down on me, because like like my mom lives with me and she's Jamaican. She's like somewhere between old school and new school, and it's in it. Like she's a very interesting lady. No, in a good way. No, for sure. Like for sure in a good way. It's not an ouch moment. But so like there's certain things that she's like says and does, and then I'm like, okay, I don't need to take like all this to heart so much, because like growing up, I could feel comfortable, confident, and like in a lot of different situations, like I've gone up on stage, done stand up sort of thing, but like when it comes to like my mom, it's like whatever she says, I just think it's 100% true about myself, and I got to accept this, and this is life, and I've been doing life wrong. And but like really just recently I'm kind of like, okay, that's not the case at all. I got to realize that I'm a good person. I'm not perfect. I shouldn't be trying to strive for perfection. I shouldn't be trying to strive for this ideal that is a bit outdated and not me. And, I should just kind of love myself as I am, even with my flaws, even, with my shortcomings, and, et cetera and so forth. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Agreed.
Thank you.
No, seriously, it is nice to kind of, because like, obviously, family loves us and they want the best. And I do think there is a lot of value in stuff they could see from their perspective, but you have to sometimes also remind yourself, and I mean, I love my family. I'm not like here to shade or anything like that.
Right,
but,
for sure.
Sometimes you have to kind of remember like, what are the good things? And I mean, I can get down on myself when talking to family. So it's not so much like, oh, they're just saying all this stuff to me, but like, I have to remember that, yeah, there is a lot of good that we've done, that, there's something valuable, I would say, about us. And I mean, so I think because sometimes the family obviously comes from a place of love, that, they care, that there's concern.
And it could come off as like harsh, and
it could come off as blunt sometimes.
Yeah.
And I usually take it pretty well anyway. But I think the other thing is you live with your mom, and it's just the two of you. Like with my family, if I'm home, like when I was home for like 3 weeks or so, during this past winter break, or not really break, but Christmas, New Year time, and it was 5 of us, 6. My brother was in and out, but he has his own apartment, so it was like 5 of us really in the house. So it's not like just me, even though of course, because I'm not normally there, I can sometimes be like, it's easy to tell, like, unlike with a lot of other people living there who've been there, I'm like a visitor for 3 weeks. So yeah, there's probably gonna notice like, what's going on, like if I'm sleeping all day and not being super productive, or if I've not gotten certain things in life together, it's kind of more glaring. And so sometimes there can be like, hey, what's going on here? Have you done X, Y, and Z? And like, there's a lot of constructive criticism, but if you let it get too much to you, that's also not good. So everything you said was pretty spot on, I guess. The thing that I just remembered was, and thankfully I found it. I'm so glad I found it because I didn't think I was going to. He made this whole post on Instagram.
Who's he?
Oh yeah, good question. So CJ is Keen. CJ underscore is Keen. I'll tweet it out.
King
I'll
or
just
kin, like kin family, or king as in like royalty,
like royalty.
Okay.
So his name is CJ. He mentioned some stuff, and I remember this thing went viral like at the beginning of COVID. The interesting thing is that he had a post on September 30th, 2019, but I'm pretty sure when I actually don't know if McCoy tweeted this out, like within our own little chat, but basically it was this guy who graduated from law school. Though apparently he may have embellished certain, you know what I'm talking about?
I remember that.
And he was talking about how he was like the prize, and I guess he was in a fraternity as well. I'm trying to find the exact post because he was saying how like I am the prize, I'm a straight man. I kind of like what you're saying. I exist. I have a penis. He was talking about how I found the post. Oh my god, I found it, and he took off the comments probably because he was getting savaged.
Yeah, I remember this. Because it turns out he didn't even pass the bar. Like he graduated law school, but he didn't pass the bar.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll just read a little bit of what he had said. He was saying how he is like, I've entered into a new, because he said he's a JD, so, you know, he went to law school, entered a new arena of black men, and in this arena, I'm the prize now. Don't just take my word for it, though. And before you kill me in the comments, let me drop some stats for you right quick. So he basically said black women outnumber men by 2 million. Black women outnumber black men by 2 million. Black women don't want to deal with a black man who's gay / down low, has baby mama issues, or has a felony conviction, record in jail, which collectively is a large percentage of our race, unfortunately. As statistically, 37% of black men are in jail, while 1/3 of black men have some form of criminal record. Black women typically don't want to date down. They want a man on the same playing field or higher, which is only 7% of black men being professionals. And he was basically saying all the stuff about black women don't want the stuff in men. The dating pool is smaller in black men. And this is statistically 70% of black women go unmarried. You see where I'm going here? And they want their mate to be extractive, have edge, style, yada, yada. So now he's saying that I've gained entry into this small percentage of black men that are young, single, attractive, heterosexual, have no criminal record, no baby mama drama, and have some form of high-paying career potential that majority of black women are competing against each other for. You tell me who's the real prize here. So I guess because a lot of women will post things like I'm the prize and, you know, my bride price, all these things. So I guess he was kind of one trying to say I'm really the prize. And also here's all these men, these black men, I'm going to basically just take a massive dump on. And so again, he disabled the comments on this post. This was January 2020, actually. I'm not sure. His next post was in March. So I guess he had a few more posts, and for whatever reason, it got traction. And I think on Twitter, maybe even Twitter was where it blew up. And then Instagram, they found this post. And I'm looking at the comments right now, and people were just going in. I mean, some people were defending him, and some people are just saying like, I don't know. It was mixed. Some black women said, hey, I'm going to defend him. This guy wasn't saying anything bad about black women. Some people were saying that, no, like inherently he was attacking black women. I don't know. But I do think that the standard, sometimes the bar, no pun really intended, but since he did, I guess, not pass the bar exam, low key pun intended, the bar is kind of low with sometimes of what like black women are to expect, which again goes back to the whole struggle love narrative of like, if you kind of set the bar to be like, well, as long as they're a living human being and you know, I can fix the man. I'm not like saying this as a woman, like, you know, you're doing something wrong, but just like if the narrative is that women should accept anything, in that black men are a work in progress, and you know, you don't need to have a solid income or solid housing. We can just build it together. We can struggle together, you know, whatever romantic thing. I mean, romanticize sort of like of the struggle and coming from the hood and XYZ. Then yeah, a guy like this will come and say all these things and like how he is the prize. And I mean, sure, he went to law school. He did all these things. He worked hard, but at the same time, he kind of swiped at like everything and everyone. I don't know. I just thought it was funny that he was being savaged so hard. I didn't really get offended at this. I guess I'm in that professional class anyway. So I went to grad school, did all this stuff, but I try not to see it as like, oh, I have done better than these people who didn't go to college or didn't do XYZ, because everyone, has their place, and everyone has what they bring to the table and their talents. I actually remember I joked once about like,
that's me.
Okay, cool.
Don't worry, that's me. That's me.
I think it was during quarantine last year when people were tweeting about like men need to like bring more. It's like, okay, you have an apartment, you have a job, you might have a degree, but like is that all you could say? And then I was like, well, I have 2 degrees. I said, I have 3 degrees. Does that count? And one girl, she's a friend of mine. She was like, nope, LOL. And I was like, well, dang. But I do think that like, besides like some of those like accomplished things, which are good, there's much more to like than just what you've accomplished. Even though you can be proud of it and you should be, there's a lot of things with like EQ was mentioned, communication, being able to listen. I've seen some interesting posts from women. I try to like, my Instagram is too much. It gets flooded with a lot. But when I see things from the woman's point of view, it's really interesting about how is someone going to make space for the woman? Is someone going to, pick them up on their bad days when they're, someone said, when I stick the harpoon in your, I can't remember. I have to find the post again because they're basically saying when I'm like, quote unquote, more nasty, will you still be able to like, say something along the lines of like, hey, I don't appreciate that. Like, can you actually talk? Can you work through these things? And I feel like, there is a lot for us to learn for sure.
I did want to talk about the guy who was like claiming that he was the prize. What I didn't like was he just pretty much like just shit on all the other kinds of black men, because just because you have these things doesn't mean like you deserve a high quality top tier black woman. I mean, ask pretty much any black woman. We are the most educated demographic in the United States. So, and a lot of us are still single and whatever and what have you, but not even just necessarily that. Like, hey, black women do date outside of their race. So he never did any sort of statistics about white, Asian, Hispanic, Indian men. So he was just talking about black men. I guess just assuming that black women are just dating black men, for one. So that was really stupid of him. But I mean, I can't quite remember exactly what I wanted to say, but like, it was just, I don't know. It just sort of seemed like he felt like he was on some different like pillar when, like, yeah, you're like, a lot of women will see that as more attractive, as very coveted, I'm not going to lie and say, a guy who's a lawyer isn't attractive. Like, there is something about it simply because of the amount of money they make. I know that may sound shallow, but I mean, this is the life that we live. Like, if somebody makes a lot of money, life tends to be a little bit easier. And like, who doesn't want that?
Right. Right.
But that also goes to show, like, the fact that he said like him being heterosexual, like he put that as like a point. Like, he put that as, I mean, like I've been with a bisexual man before. Like, it's not that crazy. It's not like, I mean, I understand that maybe like a lot of black women aren't okay with that, but I personally am fine with that. And like, it was very tone deaf. It was a very tone deaf post that is like, oh yeah, I can't wait until I graduate so I can be a top tier black man. like that's what you were working hard towards. Okay.
Like, okay, dude, don't say nothing when you get knocked off your high horse and you get brought down to ground level like everybody else. So it's like you bragged all about this for what? That's like no, you're no better than the guy from the hood who rose up to social status saying he's the top dog. And I'm like, but dude, you really didn't do a whole lot. Like, come with some credentials that actually is attractive, I guess,
Right.
and not necessarily showboat about it, but let your lifestyle be that attractiveness towards women, and even then, at the end of the day, who cares? Who really cares? Like, some people like, oh, okay, and I got 4 degrees and I'm working on this, is that, the third. I got this, and like, and the only thing you're bringing is this. Like, man, go on, swear, piss off. Like, yeah. Oh,
It's actually interesting because I looked at his Twitter because I forgot, like, he posted all this on Twitter. It's his pin tweet to date. You're also looking at, there's like a bunch of things going on. So one, this man, and I'll tweet out, I don't know, I mean, I don't think he's gonna like block people or anything, but I might not tag him. I'll just like post the Instagram on my Twitter, and maybe mention his handle without tagging him directly. But so actually he got ratioed much worse on Instagram, which is why I think he deleted the Instagram comments feature on that post. His Twitter is actually not that bad. He got 1.2K likes, 843 comments. So I mean, 1,200 to 843. His quote tweets are ridiculous, like 2,000, almost 3,000 quote tweets. So that's probably where he's getting.
So he was ratioed for sure.
Yeah, he was ratioed. And people underneath of it were like, "Wow." Actually, no, he was ratioed because the top comment that I see is like almost 4K likes, which is like 3 times more. And it was saying being hetero is an accomplishment. The bar is so low.
It's not an accomplishment.
So I'm just like looking at it. I'm just wild. It's wild that I'm looking at his page, and it's literally right as we speak, his pin tweet. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He really doesn't care. So it's just like, yeah, like, great. Be a black male professional. Celebrate all these things, but there's much more that matters. Well, even if you celebrated that and made some of the stats without crapping on everyone, okay. Still, you have to know that there's more to it than just these accomplishments. But then to like make the point that it was just he clowned himself. But like I said, he doesn't really care because it's his pin tweet. So to each their own. I'm just glad that
maybe he's just loving the attention.
No, like, I actually probably very well. Like
despite himself, he just loves the attention probably.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of his pictures, because some people were trying to go back into his history and look at, like, they said zesty, which I don't know. That might be a slang for like people they assume are down low or gay. So I don't know how I feel about it, but some women were like going back through his old posts and seeing that a lot of his stuff was very flamboyant and very interesting. And they're like, "Oh, this brother is zesty," and they're like, "If that's fine if that's what you're doing, but you might be covering up for something." And I don't know. I hesitate to go to that realm, but. It is kind of funny. Like, clearly he has a flamboyant personality with a lot of the stuff he posts. So, I'll just leave it there. It is what it is. He may have done it a little bit for clout.
Probably, most likely. I mean, like, knowing his entire post, it seems like he's doing it for clout.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, especially as a society, we feel that after we do all these things, the next thing is dating, marriage. Then kids and whatnot. And oftentimes life doesn't really go in that path. Like, you might be, homeowner, good job, accomplished, degreed, et cetera, and so forth. And then, you're still single and you're sort of assuming that that's not how it should be, because you may see your friends on Instagram and Facebook the same path, and then they're married with kids and what have you, and you're wondering, like, if that's like they're doing the correct path of life and that I'm not, so like there must be something wrong with me, when that's oftentimes not the case, because I guarantee you there's a lot of like your friends on Facebook and Instagram who are looking at you thinking like, oh, she's doing the correct path, or he's doing the correct path, they're doing the correct path. Like, it's like, man, I wish I was living the life of, so and so, and things like that. I guess it's like the whole grass is always greener on the other side sort of thing. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
100%.
But yeah, no, life is weird. There's really no correct path. Like I don't want to like just bring up my Twitter again, but like I posted this like probably like a month or so ago, where when we were teenagers, we were legit creating timelines for our adult selves. Like I don't know if you guys did this. Like I know women for sure do this because we have, like our biological clocks. And like we were like, I remember I was thinking like, oh, 25, I'd meet my husband. Where? I don't know where the fuck. And like, you just meet your like, oh, 25, and then, I'll be married to him. And then after a couple of years, I'll, have kids, because you don't want to just have kids immediately after getting married. So, you do this, and that. And like, when you get to those ages, you're like, when you're 25, you're like, no, I'm still a kid myself. I'm still trying to do this, and that. I'm still trying to figure out this and that. And then after a while, you're like, when you get to like later 20s, early 30s, you're, like still a kid. Like I literally just bought this Pikachu necklace like a couple of weeks ago. It was like in my cart for a while. And I was like, let me just purchase it. And, I'm like in my late 20s, still thinking like a kid because I'm not, especially during a pandemic, I'm not really trying to date. But, like life doesn't go as planned is essentially what I'm trying to say.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Especially like your love life. You can't just like put a timeline on your love life because that involves a whole other person. And their timeline is most likely totally different than yours.
Facts. Yes. Totally.
The whole 5. Actually, no, sorry, go ahead. Okay. The whole 5, like 10-year thing, like what are you gonna see yourself doing in 5-10 years? Which goes beyond love. Like a lot of that's career and professional. And I'm like, oh, I guess I might have XYZ, I might have accomplished this thing, I might be in this position. But now I'm like, I don't really even know if I can. And I talked about this with one girl, like she's a grad student and she's, Black woman, similar field as me, computer engineering. And we had met, had good conversations. And recently she was posting about how like she like I don't know if like she doesn't really have any big plan. It's just like I want to kind of just, she's an unpopular opinion, but I might just want to explore interest to interest until I die. Like it might not be some huge accomplished like I did this big thing and mark on history, but like let me do something that gives me income streams and let me kind of take classes as I want into like adult. I mean, she's an adult, like she's in her 20s like me, but like also kind of young 20s. Like I'm only 25 and I'm like, I don't really know what I'm going to be doing by the time I get to 30. In my 30s, what the heck? And then like with love, it's like I also am just like, I don't know, like are there options? Sure. Like I could like pursue X, Y, and Z people maybe, or I could just put myself out there more and date. I don't know. Like dating is like one of those things that it just seems
dating is such a weird concept if you think about it.
So unappealing.
Like especially nowadays with dating apps. It's like, okay, so you message somebody and then you get some sort of rapport, then you exchange phone numbers, and you may talk on the phone. People don't really do that as much, but if you're lucky, you may talk on the phone. And then you finally meet them in person. And then that's when you're really trying to create some sort of connection. And it just seems very, like, I don't know.
Mechanical.
Yes, thank you. That's the correct word. Like very mechanical. And it's hard to make something that's so, like, love is the most unmechanical of mechanical. Like it's the most not mechanical thing, and then we're trying to mechanicalize it. And yeah, so it's I don't know. Like I was just thinking about the whole concept of dating and how we still have like this mindset of just like playing it cool, being, you know, like going with the flow, blah, blah, blah. When, if you think about it, finding a partner isn't, you know, just like having fun or just going with the flow. Like that's a very important thing. That's a very, you know, like you're trying to find the person you're trying to spend your entire life with. And to just be like, oh, I just want to have fun, be cool, be casual, or, you know, go with the flow sort of thing. It kind of doesn't balance, at least to me. Like I sort of realized this just today.
That is interesting. Yeah, like there is a very big concept of like you want to just have fun and enjoy. But then it's like, okay, what about the importance of who you end up with? I mean, that can get to be a lot of pressure because people take casually, they have fun, and they don't necessarily think of every person as like, this person could be the partner. I remember one thing on Twitter that got, I mean, there's so many things that go viral. Like so many people get tweets in the hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of likes range. And one person said something like, when it comes to like romance and like partnerships, like don't stress yourself out thinking so much about, oh my gosh, is this the person who I'm going to be married to? Like, this is going to be the one, and just enjoy some of the romantic encounters and what you're experiencing for the time that it lasts. I mean, some people might not agree with that, but I don't know. I'm somewhere in the middle between like, if I'm gonna be not like, oh, I'm dating you now, you're my partner, and be married, because that's also like, whoa. I kind of like just I like, even I guess I see myself. I'm just like I'm in my 20s. I don't really expect to be seriously like I could be married before 30, but it's not a plan or a goal.
I want to ask you, why is it like in your 20s you're not expected to be serious? Why? Like, what is it? Why that age? Why in that age group you're just, oh, I'm in my 20s, not serious? That's what that means. Like, why?
Ooh, questions. I mean, I guess like you develop yourself as a professional, right? This is when you really get yourself. And my mom's talking about.
Can't you do it at the same time? Can you develop your professionalism and your like romance, your love life at the same time? I always feel like women can do it at the same time, because you know, I'm a professional, I'm a homeowner, and I've done that all before the age of, you know, 25. And every time I think about it, I'm like, I could have done that in tandem with finding, you know, like my future husband or future man or what have you. But yes, sorry, but go on. What were you going to say?
I mean, I think that's valid. That's valid. Like, I don't necessarily disagree. You very well could do. I mean, there are many people like who became homeowners jointly, who became, you know, they were like people who really married young, right? I mean, they're still married, but they're young. So, I guess time will tell. Like a lot of people who married young, especially if they were like Christian or some kind of devout, and maybe some people were dated young even, and they loved each other and were just so lovey-dovey in high school. That I agree that there are those people who will kind of go into the working world or the professional world, and they've done all these things while having a strong relationship. But if you've kind of been like high-key single AF, big single, as one friend will say, then it's kind of like that in itself is its own. Like I remember in college, people would say like having a girlfriend is like a 4-credit class at least. So I'm not really, I guess like I kind of see it as, man, this is something that you really got to put a whole lot of time and effort, and just like anything else that's important. But at the same time, maybe it just seems like it also involves someone else. Like you can kind of have your own mess ups and bloopers when it comes to school, when it comes to, well, to some extent with the job, with whatever you're doing. But then dating and romance involves like another human being. And I talked about this with that one friend who's a computer engineer. And I was saying like, what if things don't completely work out and one or both of you are left quote unquote broken or hurt. And I was like, I went apocalyptic, kind of worst case scenario. And she was like, well, sometimes that happens. And I was like, yeah, maybe you won't be, maybe the two of you won't still be friends, and maybe things won't work out. And yeah. And I was like, you're really chill about that prospect more than I am. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of like crazy. But I mean, I guess you can't put things on hold and just deny yourself of those opportunities to grow because you're scared of, you know, possibly getting hurt or accidentally hurting someone or like having, you know, it's that kind of vulnerability, right? Mm-hmm. More so than like, yeah, you can have moments of vulnerability with work, with school, but you can also kind of do what you need to do. Yeah, you have to, I would say with work, it probably is the most, because school, you can do whatever. Work, yeah, you kind of do have to like be pretty, like people will get to know you and your style as you work for a place for a while, and things like you guys all depend on each other, but it's different, you know, it's professional with love and other stuff. It's a whole different dimension. And sometimes that's another dimension to jump into that I'm wondering when I'll be like, quote unquote, ready. And I think the answer is never, I guess. And so you're always going to be doing these professional and self-development things. And so, I mean, I'm coming to that conclusion that like, there's never going to be the perfect time to date. And I think the two big questions are you more afraid of fear of rejection or fear of commitment? And I'm like, I definitely know what my answer is.
What's your answer, if you don't mind sharing?
Well,
because I wonder that too. I'm not sure. I don't know. It could be fear of commitment. Honestly, because I feel like commitment is just long. Rejection is instant. You know, it's like, oh, I really like this guy. Let me tell him how I feel. And if he doesn't like me, I'm like, oh, okay, well, now my life is back to what I know, at least. But if you're committing to someone, now my life is going to change. Like, I can't just uncommit, be like, oh, just kidding. I don't.
There you go. I know, just play.
You can just, if for those who know, obviously with get and version control, you get commit and then uncommit. Let's just revert. We're gonna what's it called? Roll back the changes. This never happened, this relationship. We're just gonna pretend. I ain't the one for this. Extra crispy single. No, bro, this is me too. I'm just like, even with COVID going on, like I have this apartment to myself. I have this fridge in the back, the Pelosi fridge, and I'm not like taking advantage. I'm not like having people all show up in my place. Like I've had a few, you know, people over, but it's not been anything too intense. And like, I don't know, the years are going by, and I mean, it's fine. I guess I could take solace in it. Like I don't resent Valentine's Day. Like I never really resented it growing up, but I think at one point, especially in grad school, like college, sure. College also, like you see Valentine's Day, but in grad school, I was in a smaller community, smaller environment. I had my own sort of things going on, maybe a situationship or not, you know, stuff happens. But like when it came to Valentine's Day, there was no one for me. And I was like, wow, this holiday really sucks. I remember I posted something on Twitter of all places where I'd never at that point used Twitter in like 2018. I was like, on this fine, it was in upstate New York. So it was super cold, but that day was actually pretty good and warm. So I was like, the weather outside is actually banging today, but sadly, I am not, or something. I was like, Valentine's Day, the weather's banging on this fine day, but I am not. And someone talked to me about that. They're like, "Are you good?" And I was like, "No, I'm fine. Like, I'm just a little salty, but no big deal." But in recent years, I kind of I'm okay. Like this past Valentine's Day was cool. I did my thing. I had some plans that didn't fall through, that fell through, which is, I guess, okay. But I made the most of it anyway. So I don't mind like the singleness. I just call it Singles Awareness Day. And it's fine. But I don't know. I feel like it is interesting. I wish I had more conversations about like singleness and like what people have done and tried. I know there's apparently a group in Boston. And I'll wrap up here because I know I've been going. But like one person told me that there was a group, because I'm in this Boston Black professionals group. There's like 3,000 of us in the group, man. And like one person was saying that one girl was, we were just catching up over the phone during COVID, and she was like, yeah, there was this group about sex, and they met up a few times in person to just have these roundtable conversations pre-COVID, I guess, about their experiences, and I was like, whoa, that's different. And sometimes I'm just like, I remember Valentine's Day of 2019. I think they nuked it. They must have nuked it because I couldn't find the post anymore. But people were talking pretty graphically about sex and what they enjoyed. And it was a long chat, and I couldn't catch up on it. And by the time I came back to the chat, everything was gone. And I was like, dang, they must have said, we're nuking this. The admins, with Gort or whatever the admin management is. So I would just love to be a fly on the wall as people talk about all these things and everything that's gone wrong and gone right about every situationship and whatever the heck type of ship is happening. Like I said, I'm reveling in my singleness, not on mine, but which is why this topic goes this is gonna be kind of funny to hear and talk about Black love, because I'm mostly a spectator. But
okay.
I think a lot of people are in the same boat. So, but go ahead.
We're all on the struggle boat.
Yeah.
Kidding. I was kind of joking around the other day, but I mean, it'd be kind of cool, honestly, if Valentine's Day was sort of like Halloween, where, just young singles or whatever age singles go out, dress up in whatever the hell and go trick-or-treating, getting candy.
Hold on.
So wait, they
dress up in lingerie, go get candy.
Oh God. Lingerie parties.
Get candy in the neighborhood. I mean, I just thought you just want some free candy.
I'm dead.
No comment.
I'm done.
I'm too old for Halloween. I can't just get free candy. There should be an adult holiday to get free candy, though.
I guess I never did Halloween much because of various things. So now
I did a handful of times, but still.
Halloween, I guess the adult version is let's go out and dress up in whatever costume we want, revealing usually, and let's have a great time. I guess with Valentine's Day parties, I know some people I saw promoting during COVID, it's whatever, but they were posting about lingerie parties. So I guess there's the turn up scene in terms of getting free stuff, because I get what you're saying about candy, because a lot of people obviously couples get candy. You're right. I don't really see Valentine's Day singles events. Well, mixers. I've seen mixers where it's maybe you can have a speed dating. I did go to a speed dating event when I first moved to Boston. It was a month after I moved, because I moved MLK weekend of 2019, and then by mid-February I found an event in Boston in this Jamaican, I think, owned or this was Caribbean owned cafe in one of the deep parts of Boston, and it was cool. It was chill. I mean, whatever. I met some people who I did keep in touch with, but some people also just I'm not really, you message people, you're not getting much of a response. It's but it would be cool to have more maybe singles mixers. I know they had lock and key events where you have a key, I think, and maybe girls have locks, and you have to find out which girl has the key that fits. I guess the symbolism is
sexist.
Yeah, you said sexist.
Yeah, or genitaliaist.
Yeah, I was like they had to have done that on purpose. It's kind of wild.
But it's I mean, what if I wanted to go up to the men and be like, hey, let me try my key in your lock? No, it's no, the women have to just stand around and hope that men come up to them.
Everyone approaches each other, I think, either way.
Yeah, I guess so, true. I guess it could work both ways. No, I don't know. I'd rather the key.
I'll have to ask you, this is my last thing then, is your view on women roles in terms of initiating dates, marriage. Oh, that was the other thing about that post of the woman who was traditional gender roles in the past. Man initiated every single day, planned every single thing, and did all these things in addition to being the breadwinner and marrying young. And so I don't know, like with women being like sort of more assertive and more of the one maybe to ask date or even just to say, hey, I like you, or to get extreme proposals. I mean, have you done anything in that realm of being the initiator? Or
Honestly, like I would like to, it's just like with my experience, it just doesn't seem like the men really like that. Like it's weird. Yeah. Sorry. Like my guy friends, like my close guy friends are rather nerdy. Like one of them in like a friends group chat, he shared a post of a woman proposing to a man and pretty much saying like, oh yeah, that's the dream. I would love that to happen. But I feel like with the men that I meet or, just out in the real world and things like that, like they prefer more traditional gender roles, especially Black men. I feel prefer more traditional gender roles. At least the ones that I mean. I know that's not the case at all, but I wouldn't mind, initiating and going out of my way and, like talking and trying to do things. It just sucks because growing up as a female, as a woman, you're not really taught that and you're not really expected to do that. So it's very like touch and go when it comes to certain things. Like a part of me doesn't want to pay for a man's meal because like at times when like I may have paid for like his drink or like if we ordered an appetizer, I paid for like an appetizer because I wanted him to try it. Like those guys, nothing ever went further. They're always like really appreciative and all that, but nothing ever really went further. So I don't know if there was like something, it could have just been me, they probably just weren't interested in me, which is understandable. It's just okay. But like, it could have also just been, I don't know if there was like something like within their ego, like their like caveman ego lying dormant that just didn't like that or something. Sometimes I wonder that too.
Also, you really feel
like I don't know. I mean, granted, it wasn't like that many men who I've done this for, but I'm just kind of like, I'm just gonna not try to initiate anything in terms of like paying for a guy until he's like my boyfriend. Like as shitty and as shallow as that may sound, that's just like, I don't know. I'm sure the two didn't equate. Like correlation doesn't cause causation. I'm sure there's probably no correlation between like me paying for this guy and him like never really wanting to seriously date me. But like I do know that sometimes guys feel some type of way if like the woman makes more money or like they're sort of taking away like their manhood. I know that like there's some guys feel that way, but I don't know. It like if I could just go and ask out every guy that I've liked and see what would happen, I would totally do that. But there's just that whole gender role thing is like, I don't know where I lie. I don't know where I fall. Some guys are like, oh, that would just take a lot of the guessing game out. A lot of the guesswork out of, dating, which, I agree. I think, I think women should definitely, pursue more. But, you never know what kind of man you're getting, whether it's like the traditional man or the more just modern man, I would say. So that, I don't know if that makes sense. It's just my answer is just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I would love to, like, but I don't know.
That's interesting because when I was in grad school, we had like this Black chat called like Tokyo-ish, we'll call it. And so one guy literally called it Tokyo crap, which is the funniest thing. Cause I was like, how do you censor that out like that? So in Tokyo-ish, one girl was like, and it came out of nowhere because she didn't post that much. And she, was kind of like, more professional. And it was a surprise. Like all of us were like, where's the savages coming from? Cause she was like, if I invite you over and cook for you, best know that I'm like getting that. She was like, I'm getting that booty at the end of the night or something. Getting that something along the lines like I'm getting those cheeks at the end of the night. And I was just like, wait a second. So I'm like, maybe I guess women do have the kind of like I said, and they're gonna like do this thing, and they're hoping for a certain outcome. I saw
yeah,
something
for sure.
Oh,
Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't know. Like for me, like if I'm cooking for this guy, it means I like him. You know, like I like him a lot, and I want to actually date him. But I don't know. Like if I'm just looking for sex, what do I do? I guess just like have him come over to my place. Like, and I guess just go from there. Like heavily hint. I don't really know. I gotta actually think about this. I don't really know what I do. I guess I'm just that awkward. I'm awkward in every aspect of my life. Like not just like like when they say like you're an awkward person, like you're awkward in dating, you're awkward in job interviews, you're awkward in going grocery shopping, like you're awkward in every aspect.
I relate. And something that I just saw, or I saw it like a few days ago, where it was like women, man, like if she doesn't pay for you, then she doesn't like you. If she doesn't spend on you, she doesn't like you. Women have money. And I remember one girl, it was a tweet that a guy made, but a girl I saw on Snap, a friend of mine on Snap, she posted it, a black woman. She was saying like, this is so true. She was like, I rarely do this, but like I'd rarely do this anymore, but know that like I must be really liking you if I'm, willing to spend my own money on you. And it's interesting that like that's a thing too. Like,
I guess it depends on what they mean. Like, is it like spending money on a date or spending money on like buying him a gift? Like, honestly, like how I define like spending money on a guy is like there was like this guy in Boston that I was like sort of seeing. I was really into him, and when if I were to visit him, it'd be cold, so I would spend a lot of money on like an outfit and like a good coat, just to impress him, because that was me spending money on him for the experience of me, because I'm an experience, but like. But yeah, so like that's how I see it. Like if I spend money on like getting hair done, like my nails done, trying to like look good for this person, because normally especially in South Florida where it's just hot all the time, you're just like like wearing short sleeves and like jeans, flip-flops, maybe boots if you want to. I mean, like there are a lot of girls who get dressed up to the nines. That's like most women in South Florida. I'm not really like those women. Not shitting on those women at all. But but it was just kind of nice because I actually like this guy. If I'm just going on a first date with a guy, like I may do a little something, but I'm not really trying to like impress. I'm not gonna like buy a whole new outfit for this guy if it's just like a first date. But if it's someone that I really, really, really like, then then I will, probably spend money on like trying to look my best. But I probably wouldn't like, buy him dinner. I'll probably make him dinner if I really like him, yeah, for sure. But then I have to buy the food. So that's spending money on him.
Yeah. Well, that is a well. I remember someone openly posting on, apparently because we're in demon time now, so this is what we're doing now. So I remember on my Snap some weeks ago, one girl was talking about something about like, oh my gosh, I like it when he hits it from the back, and I was like, I mean, this is a public
demon time.
I was like, this is a public live stream, so I'm not sure how much I'm going to go into that.
It's going to get to 333. It's going to be like, that's half of 666 demon time.
That's my thoughts. We still never mind. No, we are not. No, we're not. We're not staying up until 3 o'clock. No.
No. So like in the live, like we're at 3 hours and 4 minutes.
Oh, I thought you meant 3:33 a.m. too.
No. I'm meaning like 30 minutes from now. Like,
Yeah. God dang. I just know that there's some wild stuff. I don't even know what's happening anymore in some of these comments. But I just remember when I saw that, it was like, she just posted it on her time, but I don't even know her well. Like, high key, this is someone I matched with on Tinder, but like years ago. Like, sometimes when I match, they'll have their social media handle. Get their social media. We don't really keep in touch, but you still see the snaps years later, whatever. Some of the accounts I rediscovered during quarantine, and I was like, oh, I haven't even seen snaps from you in a minute. So that one girl, like a few weeks ago, she was just like, yeah, I love it. And I was like, dang, we really out here just talking about sex positions. And it's fine. It's her snap. She can post what she wants, you know. I think I was just kind of surprised. So that was just in relation to this casual butt stuff. Yeah, Bat, you've walked into some different conversations. This is definitely going to be our longest stream, which is hilarious.
I love how Holistic Hottie is still on. Like,
yeah, she's still on.
Yes.
I'm glad that you guys are just like watching us shoot the shoot, because this is kind of unscripted. I mean, they're all unscripted, but like high key, this is a very unscripted episode. So
I mean, shout out to Bat. I mean, yeah, you are riding to some stuff.
yeah, I mean, shoo. Like you have other things like what 50 Shades of Grey, which is not black, but I remember that was a thing.
50 Shades of Black. The movie is hilarious if you ever see it. It's like a parody of yeah.
I haven't seen it, but that's one of the things I should to go do.
Yeah, it's funny.
I remember Creflo Dollar. Like there was this funny sermon by Creflo Dollar where he was basically like, you got to know your man before you marry. You got to know your partner. And he just started going on like a tangent about all this stuff. He was like, I know my wife, she's like, I know some of you be reading these books and watching these movies and get all types of ideas. He was like, I know my wife, if she brings a whip, he's like, nope, I do not want to see a whip. Like he was just talking. I should also post the link to that. It was like a viral video on Facebook where
that's
he
no
was
fun to go on.
So like it was just interesting. Like you got to know your person. You got to be friends with them before you date them. You got to know because next thing you know, something's coming out, and you're like, I did not know. I mean, you can adapt and adjust. You know, I'm not here to kink shame, but hopefully y'all know what it is, what everyone's into, and not be completely blindsided years later when.
I mean, the thing is, like, sometimes people get into are curious about something later on after marriage too. You know, like you might be married for like 10, 15 years and then your partner would be like, do you want to do like an open relationship? Do you want to try this thing, try that thing? You know, because like, you know, yeah, I mean, as years go on, you know, you sort of morph into different people. You know, you might be like, you know, I may be okay with this.
Yeah.
So
that's an interesting
but I get it.
That I think I saw a post recently too about like I saw things around Valentine's Day maybe before about like, you know, you can fall in love with someone, but then, you know, they change it to something you recognize that you don't recognize anymore. Like that's okay. Or maybe also you change it to someone they don't recognize. That's also okay. They love you. They could sincerely love you, but not the way you deserve to be loved. Like that's okay too. It's sort of all these ways of saying like it's okay if something doesn't work out. It doesn't mean like you don't have to blame yourself, XYZ. So in some cases, you could also both change and like what you guys are changing into. Like you said, maybe it's like, hey, I'm into XYZ. Maybe it's a poly relationship. Maybe it is an open relationship. I mean, there's many types, and we didn't touch as much on like the different types of relationships that exist, especially now with polygamous. Versus non-monogamous.
And it's not like especially now. That's always been a thing.
I feel like you wouldn't have looked. It wouldn't have been as. It would have been more frowned upon. I feel like less mainstream, less accepted in the public discourse. I mean, I guess you could say like way back. There were societies where it was much more open and fluid. But at least in like American tradition, you know, you're with a man and woman. You get married even when you're younger than 20 years old. You might not be an adult. You work on the farm. I mean, there are these very kind of traditional ideas of what marriage and partnership look like. And kind of now you can find any community that you want. I mean, yeah, sure. for sure, there are many of these communities that existed, but they would have been seen as aberrations or some kind of like, I don't know. I feel like things are a little more accepted. I mean, there's still people who push back and they talk about the tradition. And this is like kind of another topic, but about the traditional, black man, woman, and like what those rules are supposed to be. And like people usually push back on certain liberal or feminist ideas and how these things are ruining the black, which I think is not like accurate at all. Like how certain messages are being spread and they're breaking down the black community. They talk about single parent households and how, you kind of know the rhetoric that gets spread about non-traditional households having impact on the upbringing of people, not having a father in the home, which I mean, of course, there are valid reasons involving the arrest rates, war on drugs, but a lot of times it gets brought back to welfare and other lifestyles. And so that's kind of a little bit like its own thing to talk about some of those topics of what does the traditional family look like, nuclear family, and do these actually have an effect when it comes to like generational wealth and the way black communities are whole. But I do think that there are more proliferation of non-traditional types of partnerships and communities. Though I'm not really in those spaces. Like I don't see a lot of people who talk a lot about those groups, but I do know that at least they're more open, right? You're more likely to see poly relationships, or people might talk. I guess you don't necessarily know unless you ask, because I mean, shoot, people I know could be in some kind of open relationship and I don't really know.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's really true. I remember like seeing one of my old jobs when I was on Tinder. I remember seeing like this one guy, and I think it was his wife or his girlfriend or something on Tinder, and like they were looking for like a third, and this was just somebody who was at work. But yeah, you never know. You never know who's into that. That's I don't see it as like a bad thing or anything to be ashamed of. I do, like it would be cool to see it like a little bit more open. Like I don't consider myself poly personally, but I was hoping that whole like entanglement with August and Jada Pinkett and Will Smith, if there was like, hoping like it would kind of go like a little bit deeper, because like everybody was like assuming that they were in open relationships or whatever. And I guess it sort of was like in a way, because like they were married and she ended up, I don't know, getting into an entanglement, I guess, sleeping with this guy, and just sort of having like a small little relationship. But they worked it out, which I think is great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did whatever the hell it is that they needed to do, and I thought that was like quite a beautiful thing. Like I know a lot of like especially black men were ragging on Will Smith for just accepting Jada Pinkett and all that, but it's like it's their marriage. Like marriage is fucking hard. Like there's a lot to like just think about like their love and their marriage and their relationship is greater than this guy who like she like had a fling with. Like their relationship is like a lot bigger and a lot greater, a lot more important and worthy to hold on to than just like this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and from what I heard, they were sort of like broken up, but I mean they're married and they weren't gonna like divorce, so it was kind of like
they were separated.
They were separated while married, and so that's kind of like the other thing too, where it's like at that point it's kind of like free. Like if that's the case, then she kind of is free to do whatever. I mean, it's kind of wild to think about it, but like that is how it was kind of set up, it seems. Obviously, we don't know the inner workings of their minds, but like I know that Will made a post about it. I think I didn't. 'Cause I never watched that episode. I've heard the episode itself was kind of wild, but like I saw something he posted about how like actually this was before this came out. This was like maybe there was a time where they admitted that they had been separated while married, probably sometime during the Red Table Talk series, but not that deep into it. But I think it maybe in 2019, maybe 2018. I don't remember when, but he apparently had made a public post about how like, yeah, we were separated at one point, and he, I think, was like trying to build her into something like that she wasn't, or he would always kind of be conscious of what their marriage looked like from the outside. And so, it's actually, this will be my last thing. So I'll mention what Mark just said about, people looking for public appreciation for their private relationships. So a lot of people will be stunting for the gram or XYZ, but like, and I guess that's what Will was doing. And so he, I think, had to come to the point that he was seeking too much validation. He was putting that pressure on her to make some kind of perfect marriage. And I remember he had that very flashy thing at the red carpet where he like showed her off. And a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, I want someone to do this for me. But I don't know, maybe she didn't really want that kind of like extravagant expression. Like that could be a thing. I know one person, frick, I don't remember it right now, but it was something related to that. Someone was talking about how they don't post their woman a lot, and his first post where he revealed they were even dating was like a year into the relationship on their anniversary. And he was like, get you someone who knows that me not posting you isn't because I don't care about you, but because I care more about what we're doing personally. And you're like, it's not a community ship. Like one girl says, it's not a community ship. It is a relationship, and a lot of things can stay private that you're working on. And so, but I mean, I guess mixed feelings.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't think we have enough time to go into all that.
Attack it. We'll have to start the next episode as continued last time on McCoy, and then there's a reel that happens of all the moments dramatized, and then you can talk about how you feel about guys posting women. And to be clear, it wasn't. Well, no, yeah, I guess it was that he didn't post her at all. So that's fine. I'm interested in hearing it, but we can definitely talk about that another time.
Yeah, for sure. It's getting late here on the East Coast.
Yeah.
It's already the next day. We're already in the future. So
yeah, we're in the future.
Yeah, we're almost like 30 minutes in the future. So
3 hours and 16 minutes.
All right, y'all. So thanks for hanging out with us and shooting the breeze with us, and yeah, just having a good old time. We will catch you guys next week. We love you.
Love, love, love.
We love you. Black love, Black history. We love you guys. We will catch you guys next week, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.